out to be a backdoor bailout of American hedge funds and China. Meanwhile, it is driving soybean farmers in the United States absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's actually an important insight into the process.
Yeah, guy, but you don't have to take it from the populist left. Chuck Grassley, if you want to call him a populist, I don't know, Iowa senator, had one of his classic no punctuation random caps tweets where he says, farmers very upset about Argentina selling soybeans to China right after USA bailout, still 0 USA soybeans sold to China. Meanwhile, China is still hitting USA with 20% retaliatory tariff. Need China trade deal now. Farmers need markets to boost farm economy. He still uses number 2 because he doesn't know that you can actually just tweet past the one, probably didn't know about the 140 character limit. So basically, what's going on is that, as J.D. Schulten said there, China buys more than half of Iowa's soybeans every year. In 2017 and 18, Trump started a trade war with China. And China retaliated by, at the time, building relationships with a bunch of Brazilian soy farmers. What they also did is they started investing in Brazil because Brazil didn't have the infrastructure and the export technology and the on-site storage to really meet Chinese demand. They don't have the economic base to do it on their own. So China was like, oh, the United States is going to play games? Well, why don't we invest in Brazil and make it so that they are a more stable partner? So now, Brazilian soybean production since 2018, when Trump first started his trade war with China, has almost doubled. So Brazil now can feed China a lot more effectively than they could nearly 10 years ago when Trump started this. Argentina is the other big player.
Which, by the way, that is a preview of what could potentially come 10 years after this current trade war on different issues, not even just soybeans.
Exactly, yes. We think that with this trade war, that we're positioning America for this renaissance. In fact, we're just encouraging other countries to figure out ways of existing without us.
Which is, I mean, there are circumstances where that may be fine, but in this case,
when you're a soybean farmer,
you're soybean farmer, right? Exactly, and I think, Ryan, it speaks to the level of strategy that's actually at play, as opposed to just like slapping crazy numbers out there or on different countries, slapping these numbers on there. But like, there was obviously not a lot of thought about what was happening with Argentina and soybeans when the bailout happened. It was hedge fund guys are freaking out and we like Milei. It wasn't, oh, what are they going to turn around and do with soybeans in China? And I think that's actually an important insight into the process. Yeah,
exactly. And in a moment, we'll be joined by Joe Voslovic from the Grain Markets and Other Stuff podcast, which I love that they describe themselves as the biggest grain market podcast in the world, on the planet Earth.
Love it.
Gotta love that. So they'll talk to us about what the effects have been on the grain market. But yes, the hedge funds, and Scott Bessent, former hedge fund guy. Are you ever a former hedge fund guy?
It's like CIA.
Exactly. American hedge funds, when Milei was elected, were like, oh, this is great. We're going long on Argentina because Milei is going to do the thing we love. He's going to brutalize the unions and the poor and cut the government spending. And as a result, foreign capital is going to flow into Argentina and the economy is going to grow. So they put all their chips in on Argentina doing great. Instead, what everybody else predicted is what happened. The economy, further deteriorated and fell apart. And so now these hedge funds were looking at huge losses on their stupid bets. Turns out they were smart because they got the economics wrong, but they got the politics right. And Bessent is coming in and bailing out all of these hedge funds now, at the same time that Argentina is getting this $20 billion bailout, they announce that they are cutting their export tariffs for soybeans, which slashes the cost of soybeans. And China instantly buys,
of course,
enormous amounts of Argentinian soybeans. But don't take it from me because, who wants to believe me? So Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, Trump's ag secretary, texts Scott Bessent and somebody named JG. And we know this because a photographer,
Jameson Greer.
I think it's Jeffrey Goldberg.
He is in the chats. Yeah.
He's still getting in the chats.
Probably USTR.
Yeah. Probably Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative. That would make a lot of sense. but making sense is not always what drives these things. So let's just pretend it's Jeffrey Goldberg. I actually texted Jeffrey Goldberg yesterday. I was like, look, you're still in these chats. He did not respond, so maybe he is. So anyway, she texts Scott Bessent and JG, which we assume is Greer. And so she writes, and also, so this is Bessent getting lit up in the meeting and letting somebody photograph it.
An Associated Press photographer got a snap of his phone.
So the text says, I'm getting more intel. This is Brooke to Bessent and JG. I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, parentheses, Bessent.
Bessent, yeah.
So just
to him.
So that Jameson Greer doesn't catch any, or Jeffrey Goldberg doesn't catch any strays in this text message chain. And in return, the Argentines removed their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. On a plane, but Scott, I can call you when I land.
Did nobody think about this? It's a rhetorical question.
No, clearly nobody thought, because they don't care. The hedge fund guys were looking at losses. And Milei, and Bessent said in his public statement when he made the bailout that the reason he was doing it is that Milei has an upcoming important election.
Yes.
And he wants Milei to win the election because then that will bring more investment into Argentina. So he is out loud saying that the United States is using American taxpayer money to intervene in Argentina's election. He's saying it out loud.
And to undermine then American soybean farmers. We have a lot of different, I have a lot of questions for our guest about Matt Stoller's analysis of this and what the Trump administration is doing to help like maybe assuage concerns of farmers and people in the ag industry overall. But that is, the text message is such a great insight into the illusion of grand strategy. Yeah. Right. And again, geopolitically.
What'd you call it? Very unfortunate. Highly unfortunate.
The geopolitically.
We did it. It's not like a flood.
Right. Argentina is, from the Trump administration's perspective, geopolitically a very important ally when you have Venezuela, when you have Colombia, and what are perceived of like anti-American administrations, especially like as we've covered before, the pink wave taking over some of those countries. They want to keep Argentina happy, obviously, because they want to have that, what do we even call it, like a bastion of pro-American allyship in a big country in the middle of South America. So geopolitically, you see where they're coming from, like why they're doing what they're doing. But obviously, they didn't even, Argentina would take the bailout if the condition was soybean. Like if the condition was not selling, was not undercutting American soybeans. You can't
screw us.
Yes, they would take the bailout.
We didn't even think to ask them not to screw us because we don't care. But also, can you imagine if Democrats had this type of solidarity instead of viciousness towards South and Central America? If Biden had offered a $20 billion line of credit to, instead of sanctioning Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba, you would not have had the migration crisis. Like Biden drove the migration crisis with his policies towards Central America, Venezuela, and Cuba, which then helped bring Trump back to power. If they had done something like this instead, people would still be in their homes and in their neighborhoods in Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua and elsewhere. Anyway, so let's bring in Joe from the Grain Market Podcast.
Let's do it.
And get some details on how this is playing out. Joining us now is Joe Vaclavic from the Grain Markets and Other Stuff podcast. Joe reached out yesterday saying he'd seen some of my coverage, I guess, on TikTok or whatever. Really? I don't think we had covered it here yet. And offered to provide some of his expertise, because this is really your area. So Joe, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm a big fan of the show. I've been watching Breaking Point since the very beginning.
I love it, love it. I don't know if you were able to see the beginning of the show, but you've seen my shtick on this already. So tell us, like, what is the effect of Trump's trade war generally so far on, and we'll start at that high level, on the American soybean market?
Should we use an HMO or a POS or
a PPO?
Maybe add an FS?
Or HRA.
We can add an HSA.
Go ahead.
I think we should try PHP.
If we want to do high level, I'd like to backtrack a little bit just to give you kind of an overview of what's going on. The U.S. farm economy, as it relates to our big cash crops, corn and soybeans, and the farmers that grow those crops, we are in now what I would argue is the third year of a farm economy recession. A lot of this goes back to COVID and the inflation that occurred in the post-COVID environment. So we know that everything on the planet repriced in the years following COVID, right? We know that to be true. The government number, CPI, would all indicate that that is true. The very same thing has happened to farm inputs, the things that farmers have to buy to grow their crops, whether it's seed, fertilizer, machinery, all of those things are up. Corn production costs jumped 26% from 2021 to 2022. So we're in the backdrop here of this big inflation event. A lot of that is just generalized inflation. A lot of it's because the government threw billions and billions of dollars at farmers during and following COVID. So you've got all that.
And this is a low margin business, right? If you're a corn farmer.
Historically, always a low margin business, highly cyclical. You go through years where you're break even to negative in terms of profit margins, and then you go through a couple of boom years. We had a couple of boom years. 2021 and 2022 were really good. Remember, we've been through this trade war thing before, and the last go around was rough. 18, 19 were rough. China signs the phase 1 trade deal in 2020, and they did, as a matter of fact, come in and they bought a whole bunch of U.S. corn and a whole bunch of U.S. soybeans in late 2020 into 21 and into 22. And everything that happened in 2022 was crazy. We had Russia, Ukraine, big commodity price blow up, and everything just fell apart after that, mainly because we had big production. We had good weather in the U.S., we had good weather in Brazil, and these markets, the commodity markets that we deal with, they're generally speaking, they're weather derivatives. If the weather's good, the prices go down. If the weather's bad, the prices go up. So that's the backdrop. The trade war with China is icing on the cake here in terms of the farm economy and how bad it is and how much money farmers are going to lose. Last year, China accounted for 19% of all demand for soybeans grown in the United States. About 55% of it are beans that we crush domestically. There's about 40-ish% that's exports, and of that 40-ish%, China's, roughly half of it, basically. Pardon my math if it's not perfect, but China's a big soybean buyer, or was. Now we're into a new marketing year. Farmers in the U.S. have begun soybean harvest. China has not bought a single bushel of U.S. soybeans for current marketing year delivery, and therein lies the problem.
Now, talk to us about how significant what happened with Argentina in the last couple of days is for soybean. I mean, everyone on the surface looks at that and is like, this is insane. This bailout is insane. What Argentina does is insane. But how significant is it from the perspective of soybean farmers?
Optically, it's an absolute disaster for the Trump administration. It looks very, very, very bad. So the $20 billion in question, it hasn't happened yet. And it's supposed to be a swap line, meaning that we're going to give Argentina $20 billion in dollars. They're going to give us $20 billion in pesos. We assume a whole bunch of currency risk, but we get political influence in Argentina, right? So as this was happening, these were all like simultaneous events. Argentina dropped its export tax on soybeans and corn, and China came in and bought a whole bunch of 40 cargoes of soybeans out of Argentina during that tax holiday. It looks very bad optically. Fundamentally, it's a couple million metric tons of business that in all likelihood would have gone to the United States almost certainly this time of year. The time of year that we ship the most soybeans out of the United States is immediately post-harvest, call it October 1st through maybe mid-January. And after that, the Brazilian crop comes online. China buys from them. So it's a very bad look optically, and it doesn't help in terms of dollars and cents either.
Yeah, and you and I were talking briefly about this last night, and that really struck me. So it's because of this cycles of harvest, Brazil and the U.S., different hemispheres, so different harvest cycles. And so typically the fall, we'd be moving our soybeans to China. So if China can make it through the fall into the winter when Brazil really fully comes online, they might be able to wait us out the whole time and buy nothing. Is that possible? Are there enough soybeans in the world for them to buy elsewhere through the fall?
Yes, there are. What could happen, though, is China prefers to keep healthy stocks of soybeans on hand. They don't want to draw down their stocks. Brazilian supplies this time of year kind of become exhausted. They're already through their big shipping window. China's bought a little bit from Argentina. This is a debate in the grain industry right now. Can China actually make it to the Brazilian harvest? without any U.S. soybeans? And if so, what's the impact? Are they going to draw down stocks? Are they going to risk drawing down stocks? We don't know. At this point, I think it's safe to say that if China does buy U.S. soybeans, it's going to be in a reduced manner. You got to keep this in mind. China is avoiding U.S. soybeans as its way of fighting the trade war. China is imposing the tariffs on its own soybean buyers, right? So if China wants to waive the tariffs and say we're going to buy U.S. soybeans are cheap right now, so we're clear, they're competitive. They can do it. They just don't want to, because this is one of the few bullets that they have to fight the trade war with the U.S.
Now, Matt Stoller wrote on Sunday, he says there's another set of announcements in which, quote, Trump sought to mollify his frustrated farmer base. Trump said he wants to use tariff revenue to bail out farmers. Stoller says it's possible, but could require Democrats in Congress to go along. Trump is also bragging about new international trade deals, though China is conspicuously absent, and he is trying to bring down interest rates, which will help farmers. Also, another announcement was that the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, and Antitrust Chief Gil Slater announced they would be looking at the rising cost of crop inputs like seeds, chemicals, fertilizers, and machinery. So there are three different things there. Really, what do you make of that kind of slate of potential Trump administration actions to try to mollify, as Stoller says, farmers?
There is almost certainly going to be some sort of farmer bailout. There was last time around. It was called MFP, the Market Facilitation Program. And because of the trade war that occurred in 2018 and 2019, the previous Trump administration sent farmers tens of billions of dollars as its way of making up for the lost sales via the trade war. In all likelihood, they're going to do the same thing. Something's probably going to be announced here in the coming weeks. And to be clear about what this does and who likes it and who doesn't, a lot of farmers are not a fan of this. To go back to what I mentioned earlier, these payments that go out directly to farmers have directly influenced the inflation factors that I talked about earlier. High fertilizer prices, high seed prices, high machinery prices. A lot of studies have shown that the vast majority of these direct farm payments don't really end up in the pockets of farmers. The farmers are essentially a mechanism by which these payments flow through back to the fertilizer companies and the seed dealers and the machinery companies and the banks.
Which are big corporations, right?
Big corporations. And these are the corporations that lobby for the farm payments. It's not necessarily the farmers that are lobbying for the farm payments or the farm groups. It's the people who want their money back or want to continue to be paid or continue to make money. That's a huge, huge part of it that I don't think that the public understands, is that so much of this money is just, it's flow through money. The farmer's a mechanism so that the big banks get their money back. The seed dealers, the fertilizer, they want their money back. They want to keep their stock prices high. That's a huge piece of this.
Yeah, God forbid any of our companies suffer any penalty. So if China does successfully stiff arm us, where else can the U.S. sell soybeans? Like, who out there in the world is hungry enough for this amount of soybean harvest?
Nobody. In terms of soybean importers, China is head and shoulders above any other global importer. That being said, we have had other global buyers step up, and export sales to this point for this marketing year, which just began a month ago, to non-China destinations are elevated. But I don't think there's a scenario in which non-China destinations make up the entirety of what China won't buy, put it that way.
Yeah, I can imagine Trump, telling like Ghana, you better buy up a bunch of our soybeans. And Ghana's like, well,
yeah, nobody else has the appetite. I mean, China's just such a huge country.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about India? I mean, they got a lot of people. They want some soybeans.
I don't think so. We may sell some corn or some ethanol to India. They're in the midst of a big ethanol push. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the quantities are going to be. As with all these trade deals, I kind of go back to the phase one trade deal that was signed in 2020. It's like the trade deals are almost like ceremonial in some way, shape, or form. And really what happens is a trade deal gets signed. Does it mean anything when it's signed? I mean, publicly or optically, yeah, it does. But in terms of our markets are concerned, the market, the soybean market, soybean traders, the guys trading soybeans with big money, they're not going to care till we actually see the export sales. In the case of the phase one trade deal, it was signed, I believe, on January 15th of 2020. It wasn't until 6 or 7 months later that China came in and began to buy U.S. products aggressively. And they did, but it took a long time. So I think that with these trade deals, like we saw the one with Taiwan announced a week and a half ago, I mean, whatever, it's good press, but until they come in and start doing the business and we see an acceleration in the actual stuff that's being announced by USDA, which is now shut down, by the way. But that's what we need to see.
All right. So anyway, if you're watching this program and you need a few billion tons of soybeans, America's selling.
We are.
Joe Vakovic with the Grain Markets and Other Stuff podcast. Really appreciate the insight here.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.
My summer style, yeah, I think it's all about the fit. The feeling of effortlessness, but intentionality. Do something like these shorts. A nice off blue color with a little classic gray moment. It's in the small details. I'm outside a lot, so I look for things that fit that flexibility.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is reportedly in the process of a regime change effort against Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. That's according to a long new report in the New York Times. The military, according to this Times report as well, is also readying operations on narco traffickers inside Venezuela. So that's part of this big New York Times report. I'm going to read a quote from it here. The push by top aides to President Trump to remove Maduro as the leader of Venezuela has intensified in recent days, with administration officials discussing a broad campaign that would escalate military pressure to try to force him out. U.S. officials say it's being led by Marco Rubio, who is also NSA, by the way, and that comes into play a little bit here, too. Rubio argues that Maduro is an illegitimate leader who oversees the export of drugs to the United States, which he says poses a, quote, imminent threat. But Mr. Rubio is shaping a more aggressive strategy using intel provided by the CIA, the officials said. And the Pentagon has built up a force of more than 6,500 troops in the region. Another key part of this article, John Ratcliffe, so that's the head of the CIA, and Stephen Miller, obviously the chief domestic policy advisor close to Donald Trump, both support Mr. Rubio's approach. The officials added, again, according to the Times, the U.S. military has been planning potential military operations targeting drug trafficking suspects in Venezuela as a next phase, although the White House has not yet approved such a step, current and former military officials say. There was actually another story, I think it was in the Washington Post, Ryan, just a couple of days ago, about how there's disagreement between the Pentagon and the White House regarding whether it's appropriate to start readying a military operation in South America, and I think Mexico as well was part of the disagreements. Just finally from the Times, those operations would be aimed at interfering with drug production and trafficking in Venezuela, as well as tightening of vice around Mr. Maduro. Trump admin officials have not yet confirmed whether there have been such exchanges, and the White House did not provide a comment on the matter. So this was a big New York Times piece basically reporting out, Ryan, what we knew was happening, or what we all suspected was happening. There have been leaks to this effect, but this put it pretty clearly, I think, about what's happening inside.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he's not going for Cuba in this, because the situation in Cuba, even though it doesn't get anywhere near the attention it should, is catastrophic. You know, people losing significant amounts of weight. The outflow of it's lost like a third of its population over the last like 5 years or more. Crime is rising. Like it feels like the embargo has, with the tightening sanctions, might actually finally do what it's been trying to do, which is topple the government, and we'll get a failed state in its place. So for Rubio, you know, who wanted nothing more than to topple that government his entire life, it's interesting that he's doing kind of Venezuela first.
Yeah.
And it at least is pushing some Democrats to start to come out publicly against regime change in Venezuela. Representative Don Beyer, he posted, Donald Trump's, quote, special military operation in Venezuela is a terrible idea. Is going from murdering people on boats without charges or due process to what sounds like regime change by military force. A quote, president of peace doesn't start new, unwise, and unnecessary wars. This would be something that Democrats could, you know, follow Beyer's lead on and really push Trump on, because, you know, outside of South Florida, nobody voted for this. And half the people in South Florida don't want it. It's basically just using the U.S. military to play act this counter-revolution that the South Florida Cuban population has wanted for 50 plus years.
Well, I mean, we have reminders that are still downstream of the Cold War in our foreign policy every day about how easily these types of operations can go wrong, Iran being one of them. An ally of Venezuela's, by the way, Venezuela, clearly of interest to the United States. Venezuela's oil reserves are not unimportant to the United States' interest in Venezuela, of course. And so these are incredibly kinetic situations, risky situations, explosive situations. And so if the U.S. right now is readying, which clearly I think it is, precision targeted strikes on narco traffickers in Venezuela. And by the way, I read the entire, I think it was SDNY indictment of Maduro the other day, and it's not insane. Like, there are actually some pretty credible connections between Maduro and Cartel of the Suns and over the last, I mean, I think it goes over like the last 10, 15 years. So some of it's going back pretty far. It's not insane that Maduro, to say that Maduro, as Rubio does, it's not insane to say that Maduro may have had something to do with narco trafficking. Again, he's the leader of Venezuela.
All governments are involved with drug trafficking, so.
Ryan wrote a book on
Yes, that's right.
This is your, what's it called? This is your brain on drugs.
This is your country on drugs,
This is your country on drugs, yes. So anyway, it's not an insane indictment, but as a predicate for military operations, it's completely, for military operations that are, let's just say, it would be a bit of a stretch to call democratic because nobody's going to vote on this, of course. There's talk of actually using the AUMF earlier. It was one of the Venezuelan boat strikes where people were throwing out that maybe it was covered by the AUMF. Do you remember that? Like the anti-terrorist AUMF after 9/11? Yes. Yeah. So just the ways that this could go wrong, we have had, 50 plus years to learn from. And especially as the right started re-exploring a lot of this during the Biden administration and the first Trump administration about how intelligence agencies are undergoing these regime change and propaganda operations that then are anti-democratic and trickle into, as much as you may disagree with communism and see the dangers of communism and understand, as a conservative, let's say that you share all of those perceptions as I do, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
If they were, if I were the lawyer for the Trump administration, the way I would tell them that you could use the AUMF is to say, because AUMF says basically you can use force against like Al-Qaeda and people involved in 9/11. I would say, okay, here's how you make the argument. The CIA helped to create Al-Qaeda. The CIA helped to create a lot of these drug trafficking operations. Yeah. So therefore, there's a connection between the CIA and 9/11 and drug trafficking, and the AUMF allows violence against anybody involved in 9/11. And so there you go.
I was going to say that's insane, but that is not insane. What's insane is the actual case that you're making. The fact that that's real is like actually completely insane.
It's all wrapped up. It's legal. Yeah, because it's all CIA operation.
Yeah.
They all are, yeah.
And, well, John Ratcliffe is reportedly on board.
Yeah. And then real quickly, the war with Iran keeps inching closer. Two interesting developments on that. We can put up this next element. Trump administration reached a deal with Iran where they're sending a plane load of Iranian deportees. This is not the thing that's pushing us closer to war. Just kind of fascinating that, like, and I don't quite understand it because the United States has always said, oh, we will give asylum to these Iranian dissidents because Iran is terrible and it's the evil mullahs, and anybody who stands up to the evil mullahs is a friend of the United States. So what's going on here? Why are we like, actually, never mind, go back to the evil mullahs?
I genuinely don't know. Probably espionage charges. I
don't think it's way too. This seems just like standard migration situation.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's happened with.
We wouldn't send them back if they were spies.
We wouldn't
We'd
maybe
keep
send
them.
all of them back, but yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
But
it's weird.
in another ominous development, this Amouage Media reported yesterday that the French negotiations are ongoing around these kind of snapback sanctions and the nuclear deal. French apparently came to a deal with the Iranians that would involve Iran basically giving everything up when it comes to its nuclear program, again, in exchange for some sanctions relief. U.S. came in and basically vetoed that and told Iran, you have to stop enriching. You have to give us all of the enriched uranium, because in the past, like you would store it somewhere, or you would give it to Russia, or it wasn't you would give it to the United States. You have to give us all of your enriched uranium. You have to stop your enrichment, and in exchange, we will give you a delay of like 3 months or 6 months or 9 months of these snapback sanctions. So no sanctions relief, but just a delay of some further sanctions. And the Iranian government was like, wow, this is like insulting. It's so absurd. And so the sense among people watching this is like that this is just a pretext for more strikes coming pretty soon.
Yes, and Iran, by the way, has a lot of like oil property in Venezuela, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the show with Argentina and soybeans, just in the last block, about why Bassett might be so interested in bailing out Argentina. So
yeah, and if we wanted, if the U.S. government wanted prices to be lower for the American people, like there are ways you could do it by not doing needless wars, for instance, with Venezuela and Iran. But that getting prices down for the American people is not remotely a priority, apparently.
Well, that does it for us today. Ryan, big show, big news cycle. Shutdown news isn't going anywhere. Crystal and Sagar will be back here tomorrow, and we'll see everyone on Friday.
Indeed.
All right, see you guys then.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free,
Imagine
and in
being
your
able to
inbox
build an
every
app with
morning.
your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
All right, let's talk about Sora. Sorry, I got distracted. You guys know how we've all been asking for more slop in our lives. We've been praying for it. There's one thing we look for in this world, and it's we just don't have enough. We've been scrolling and scrolling, we hit the bottom, and we need more slop. And it turns out that humanity is not enough. They can't create enough slop per capita to satisfy our insatiable needs. So the market has stepped in. Our fearless leaders in Silicon Valley have stepped in. Enter the age of AI-generated infinite slop.
They're into the hairpin now. Silver still ahead on the red chair, but Tran is tucked right in behind.
Cinema! Not too long, not too short. Next one, next one.
Look at that gray one. Big pounce, no completion.
The next one.
Decides the tournament. Through the windmill, into the clown, then the loop, and in.
Yes!
He cues up an uppercut, costing 24 stamina.
Stamina bar sitting at 6.
Yeah!
Every frame's a battlefield.
Just watch. If any of these don't make sense or don't feel like they have a coherent thought or story, just turn your brain more off. Just let the eyes glaze over. Just notice that the lights and colors are constantly changing. Something new funny has happened. An animal will show up and do something weird. And just do this for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Now, I do want to say, the tech, some of it was visually pretty crazy, but it is slop. And we are entering the AI slop wars as of a few days ago. Everyone in the world, all the big tech companies, have now, out of the blue, started to bet on AI TikTok. It started with Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's company, that announced Vibes, a new way to discover and create AI videos. Mid-Journey created AI infinitely scrolling slop. The response was so negative, even from tech bros, that Sam Altman said, I gotta do this too. And 2 days later, they announced Sora, okay? Including a flood of AI slop. So OpenAI and Meta are the first two competitors in the ring to create an infinitely scrolling, generating AI slop video. However, they weren't the last. Everyone else wants in on this game. YouTube announced that Shorts will now have VO3, their image generation model, incorporated right into Shorts. So you can have AI slop next to your human slop right there. It's gonna be awesome. Grok followed suit. Grok Imagine lets you make not safe for work content. Oh, great. AI
Of
slop,
course.
but now not safe for work. Perfect.
Surprised it took
Elon
this
Musk
long.
has gone full gooner, by the way. He is constantly posting AI gooner stuff. But that's the only thing they have differentiated themselves because they're way behind Sora and OpenAI. And then after that, we have TikTok, who has created Symphony Generative AI. So literally every single human slot platform is now rushing to make sure there's not even the human part. Dead internet theory is actually going to be real. It's all mixed in. And I don't want to be a crazy Luddite here in that I don't like mogul moves. Here's the sad truth, is that some of these videos, because a human is behind them putting in a prompt, can be funny. They can be funny. But this is a significant undermining of what they've been promising. For years now, they have been promising they are going to change the world, make all our lives better, cure cancer, develop AGI, end the need for work. And instead, what we're getting in the near term is infinitely generated slop videos that drive up everybody's electricity costs. I mean, it is a true bait and switch. Now, the most popular videos thus far coming out of Sora, by the way, I do want to say, there is a clear leader. If nobody is winning, if all of us consumers are losing, the person losing the most right now is Mark Zuckerberg, because Meta's Vibes platform has been universally shit on, and they are losing to Sora. They spent the most money, hired the most people, got a 27-year-old to run their whole program. So he announced Vibes, excited to share it. And the response, even from the tech bros, give me the slop stream. Tech bro. The absolute worst use of AI. What a waste of compute. Tech bro. Damn, dude, this is like zero soul. Tech bro. Even your fellow tech bros are making fun of you. LOL, where did it all go wrong? That's Shake Drizzle. The same thing has been happening with Elon Musk, by the way. When he posts like his AI weird girl assistant thing every day, everyone's like, bro, this is weird vibes. This is go to Mars. Like, there's a clear bait and switch on the promise. So that's the kickoff with Meta. But the real winner so far has been Sora, because Sora, the OpenAI version, does look frighteningly realistic. It does have very weird, more realistic human capabilities. Although mostly it's been used to create insane memes of Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. Like him as Skibbity Toilet.
I'm a CEO in a porcelain spa. Skibidoo, skibida. Yes, that's me.
So that's what you're seeing on Sora, okay? And I think because Sam Altman already looks AI generated in real life, it's really hard to tell the difference. Sam Altman 2 weeks ago, we need $7 trillion and 10 gigawatts to cure cancer. Sam Altman today, we are launching AI slop videos marketed as personalized ads. So as we all head into this future, I wonder if it's a little bit cooked. Actually, I have a counter take that I'm going to give at the end. Let me catch you up, and then I want to give, I think, a more realistic take on what's going on. As of today, I checked, Sora is #2 on the App Store charts, and it's still invite only. You need a code to get in on it. So it is actually doing quite well. And I think it comes down to a core theme of this AI-generated slop content, which is people will mock it and ignore it and to be disdainful of it until they can put their own face in it. And then everybody wants to get it to share a fun meme with their friend. The truth is that ChatGPT had its biggest day ever when you could turn your face into Studio Ghibli. That was the biggest day in ChatGPT's history. Again, people went from doing their own faces to a lot of things. Including 9/11 and JFK. It wasn't just their face. But once Sora came out, it requires users that sign up to scan their face and give a sample of their voice so it can put them in the videos. Which, you know, I'll take Sam Altman's word. Seems like a bit of a Trojan horse.
People don't even realize they're handing over their face scans to us for free.
Seems like a bit of a Trojan horse. But that's just what I saw on Sora. I'd be a little worried about it, okay? Side effect is that it's uncanny accuracy. I mean, it does look shockingly real, especially if you do like from a distance videos is making it very easy to create disinformation. It is worth noting that the most viral videos on there right now are fake people robbing stores, including it's Sam Altman stealing GPUs from Target.
Webster Store.
30 chairs, non-squeak.
Webster
15 non-wobbly.
Webster
Store. Lights.
Webster Store.
Where are we gonna find all this stuff?
I already ordered it.
Huh? All of it?
Webster Store for whatever your restaurant needs.
Frontier Fiber is here. Get our best deal before it's gone for just $29.99 per month. Get free premium Wi-Fi and free expert installation. Frontier Fiber, good to go.
Okay, it's funny in this case because Sam Altman is so desperate for GPU power. But the idea that you can create realistic facsimiles of people committing crimes is probably not good for society, especially when you'll notice there's no watermark on this. People have found out very easy they can remove the Sora watermark. A big part of the OpenAI rollout here is they did a philosophy document where they said, hey, look, I know this looks like an infinite generated AI slop nightmare, but in fact, we're optimizing for creativity. We're gonna have a lot of safety. We're gonna make sure there's like watermarks so everyone knows it's not AI. And people find out how to remove their watermark instantly, and all this shit's going viral on other platforms. In fact, there was one of a cat stealing a fish that already got like 50 million views on TikTok, and Facebook thought it was real.
Hey! What the? Cat just took a fish! Get back here! Police! Move! Move! Out! Cat heading for the doors! Still moving! Stop!
That's the type of shit your parents send to you
Not
at
real.
like 6 a.m.
But shit like this is going everywhere. And so now you can't even have this contained to just the human or the non-human platform. It's all over. The dead internet theory is becoming more and more real. This is fake. This is generated with Sora. And the watermark got scrubbed. A lot of people are gonna have the same take, which is like infinite AI slop feeds bad, and I agree. That's my main take here. But I want to talk more about what I'm more interested in, which is the business side of this, which is boils down to this question, right? If you genuinely believed you were 2 to 4 years away from AGI, is Sora slop really the thing you'd release? And this is a great question. I think what this release indicates to me is financial stress at OpenAI. These companies are trying to find a way to get a return, to put ads and make money. They need this to make money. Of course, it's for press. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. That's completely wrong. It's not for press at all. It is for money. They are trying to find a return, They're trying to make cash off this. Remember this post right here that I showed? We need $7 trillion and now we're launching it. He responded to this. Sam Altman openly said, we need the capital for build AI that can do science. We need the capital for build AI. Hopefully we can make some money given all the compute need. They're not hiding it. The truth is that like they have an $850 billion planned build out. They've promised money to NVIDIA, they've promised money to Oracle, they've promised money to CoreWeave, they've promised money to a lot of companies who are building out data centers for them. They need this money. And so they're trying to find a way to monetize the AI stuff they have now to hopefully build up and get to the AGI they think in the future. But in the meantime, this shit is driving up electricity prices to the moon. Everyone is seeing their electricity bill double, and what we're getting is, you know, I think fairly boring. Again, some of them are funny. I'm not gonna pretend they're not funny. The old woman throwing the stone in the glass bridge is funny. I will not lie. I admit it. I'm not a Luddite. It's funny. She's a menace. Although I really think the funny part is the human jokes around it. We can show it. You guys need to see it because it is funny. They've created a whole lore. How is she not in jail? She's a menace. Human jokes around it are very funny.
Smashed a glass bridge in China. Dozens of people died in the crash. The neural video has been viewed more than 100 million.
Okay, I don't need that. We don't need the thing. But they've been creating like 100 of these, and they've been creating a whole story of how she's great. There's funny parts, but is it worth the cost? I think not. Clearly not worth the cost. My honest take on this is maybe TikTok and YouTube Shorts can find ways to monetize this by running ads on their platforms and putting AI slop in there. But I have to say, as successful as Sora has been out of the gate in getting people to try it, I don't think they can monetize it. I think the best stuff on Sora just gets ripped, watermark off, and goes on a different platform. I don't think people are actually going to scroll Sora for hours and watch their ads. So I actually think Sam Altman has just created an even more expensive hole to dig out of. He's just running data centers full blast to create AI slop for someone else. I don't think he's found a way to fund his $850 billion hole that he needs. I think he's just created a bigger hole. Like, I actually, as I look at this, I don't see like a really smart, brilliant plan. I see a desperation. I see a company trying to find more and more ways to squeeze dollars out of an unprofitable service. And so I guess I'm less worried about it than you guys are, but I am worried about just more and more hard to differentiate slop in the feeds and internet that we use. I do think that's a problem. And again, old people are falling for this shit at a horrendous rate. There was a clip that went viral today. Poke Laws sent a video of himself getting arrested on Sora to his dad, and his dad, here's his dad's reaction.
What the fuck? He doesn't know how to drive. He have no license. He's gonna kill himself. What the fuck? Tell him not to do it again. This is terrible.
So, you know, people aren't going to be able to keep up, bro. I think it's going to lead to a lot of problems, to be honest. But I don't think it's going to save OpenAI's budget problem. One more angle I need to discuss. Obviously, we can debate up and down, left or right, whether or not this is good for society. Maybe we all think it's great. And we can all debate whether or not this is going to make any money for OpenAI. But I'll tell you one group of people who are going to be very upset with it. Copyright holders. Because this has been the single greatest copyright infringement program ever created. And Sam Altman, breaking with all copyright law, made the system opt out versus opt in. Which means they just said, hey, if you don't want us to steal and create your
Why did I hit
stuff,
the closer one?
you have to opt out. That's not how it works. So this is, I mean, they have, you know, the sound openly steals soundtracks that already exist. The video is openly trained on footage they don't own. There will be some sort of lawsuit reckoning. I'm sure it's brewing. But I want to just give you an example. One of the viral things on there right now is people putting Pikachu in every movie. And you can get a pretty realistic Pikachu in Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my god, I've not seen this.
Private Pikachu, stay low!
Like, Nintendo is blowing a gasket, bro. Sam Altman's gonna get sniped in his bedroom. So yeah, again, I mean, there's gonna be some crazy wars brewing. Some of it is funny, no joke. I won't ever pretend it's not. I just think this is not what was promised. And I don't understand how they monetize it. That's the second thing. The main things I'm seeing Sora on are platforms they don't own. Again, at the end of the day, it is a tool, and a human with a creative idea can still make something funny with it. But the costs are quite high. Now, that being said, I think we can end on a positive note. Maybe this is a good thing. In the wise words of Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman, the universe is a cruel, uncaring void. The key to being happy is not a search for meaning. It's to keep yourself busy with unimportant nonsense, and eventually you'll be dead. I think we should all just embrace the slop. Sit our asses down, open up Vibes, Sora, YouTube Shorts, TikTok at the same time, and just scroll away. Maybe you can put a big A clip in the corner if you're feeling friendly. Let me know what you think. Honestly, let me know what you think in the chat, and then also in the comments below. Are you going to be addicted to this AI slop? Are you scrolling forever? Are you wary? Are you going to use it? Are you going to scan your face? I want to know. Thanks for watching. Guys, I don't have a lot of time here. I would like to talk to you about today's government shutdown very quickly. Not a major presentation here. We just need to talk about it. Today at 12:01 a.m., the government is now closed for business. The Senate was unable to reach an agreement on our spending, and so the government has officially shut down. And of course, based on our long and storied Revolutionary War history, who was happier but the British?
I'm Sally Bundock. We begin.
Look at her. She's practically grinning. She's so pleased to announce the U.S. government shutdown.
The U.S. government has shut down for the first time in 6 years after lawmakers failed to reach an agreement on extending federal spending.
Yes, the first time in 6 years we have an actual government shutdown. Again, these are relatively rare, that they've become more and more common as our government has gotten more and more partisan, more divided, more unable to reach an agreement on anything, really, but especially budgets. 6 years ago was Trump, by the way, which was the last time we had a government shutdown. Though we did have one under Obama that was slightly shorter. The longest one ever is the one in 2018-19, 35 days under Trump. We'll see how long this new one lasts. But in the meantime, the government is closed for business starting today. Now, what does that mean? The main impact is all the workers that will be furloughed. That's include 89% of the Environmental Protection Agency, 87% of our education department, 81% of our commerce department, 76% of our labor department, 71% of our housing and urban development, 59% of our energy department, 49% of our agriculture department. All these employees will be furloughed. If you're like me, not like me, really, I did know this, but if you're like most Americans who Googled the term furlough today after it spiked off the chart, it just means laid off temporarily. You are unpaid and not working, and you can come back whenever they figure this shit out. That's the idea. That is the idea of a furlough. And the numbers are pretty stark. 750,000, 750,000 federal workers can be furloughed in the next few days or weeks or so. People are saying vacation, but there's a little bit more to the story. Now, again, this is pretty crazy because this is what our government runs on, a lot of this stuff. Now, the very essential stuff does remain working, but even that has caveats. So let me explain. For example, if you're going traveling, you might notice longer lines at the airport, facilities closures at national parks, and of course, losses in tourism revenue. This is because not only are a lot of employees in the FAA getting furloughed, or the TSA, but the ones that still have to work aren't getting paid. That means if you are traveling anytime soon, it will be with air traffic controllers that are working unpaid. TSA agents working unpaid. We have people working for nothing and people who are just not able to work at all. So it's going to be pretty strange, the services of government, until this is figured out. Now, at a high level, here's what's happening. Our government every year is supposed to pass a budget that decides what we are going to do and what we're going to spend money on. Maybe some of that money goes to air traffic controllers, right? We have gotten so unable to pass a budget on time that for decades now, we have resorted to a thing called a continuing resolution. This is basically like a short-term band-aid that says, okay, if we can't figure out a new budget, we'll use last year's budget until we can figure it out for a few weeks. So the last time we actually passed a budget on time was 1997. And then every year since then, we sort of kicked the bucket into the middle of the year, sometimes throughout the whole year. So now in 2025, we've gotten to the point where we've done a continuing resolution the entire previous year. We have not gotten anywhere closer to passing a new budget. And so this time, when they decided to kick the can one more time, finally the vote did not pass. And there's a reason for that, and I'm going to explain it. And it comes down to the difference between Republicans and Democrats on what they want out of this continuing resolution. This is how everybody voted. As you'll notice, mostly Republicans voted to keep the continuing resolution and keep the government funded. Mostly Democrats voted against it to break it. And why do they choose now and why is this happening? I'm going to explain. There were a couple partisan flippers here, okay? For example, Catherine Masto from Nevada said President Trump and congressional Republicans are already hurting Nevadans who are dealing with high costs and economic slowdown and the looming healthcare crisis. She said the costly showdown would hand even more power to this reckless administration. Maybe. On the other side, Rand Paul, who voted against the continuing resolution, said the spending levels don't balance the budget and don't come anywhere close. So he flipped. So those are the people that are kind of outliers, but I'm going to give you the main reason. The main issue that is causing this shutdown now is, as always, healthcare. One of the greatest, not bipartisan divides in American history. Obamacare, okay? ACA. The simple way to put it is this. We have the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. It covers like 24 million Americans. And a few years back, we added subsidies that helped make the cost lower for these Americans. These subsidies are going to expire in 2026. So the Republicans would like to pass a, call it clean, continuing resolution, where we keep last year's budget, but do not include these things that expire. The Democrats would like to keep last year's budget, but continue to include these things that expire. That's the idea. So it's a holdout over whether or not we keep these expiring subsidies for people on Affordable Care Act. That is the showdown. Okay, whether or not we keep that in 26 or we don't. The ACA tax credits. This is the censor of the government shutdown fight. Now, the numbers I said are real. 24.3 million Americans are currently enrolled in the ACA. Almost all of them use these subsidies. And if they are removed, then their healthcare costs would double to an average of $1,900 from $888. So the people on it very much would like the government to keep the costs of their healthcare lower and keep things going as they are. Republicans like let those expire. That is the situation we find ourselves in. Also, additionally, if these things expire, 4.2 million more Americans will become uninsured, which again, in America is kind of a hard thing to be. It is very hard to be a person working a regular job who has enrolled for the ACA and then loses your insurance and you can't get it. Very expensive, it turns out. That's the boring nitty-gritty of the procedure as to why they cannot agree on this vote. Again, this vote is important because while the Democrats do not control the House or the Senate or the judiciary or the presidency, Republicans have complete control of the government in all aspects. This does require 60 votes to pass the continuing resolution and keep our budget going the same as last year. We need 60 votes. Can anybody find 60 votes on their side? It's very difficult. So there's no way to do it with just one party. You need to have a bipartisan thing, which is nearly impossible in America. Normally, the consequences of a government shutdown are so bad that somebody somewhere caves and gives in. But times are a-changing. Both parties think that the public will blame the other party more. That's the core of it. Because it's so politically unpopular to be blamed for a shutdown, most of the time someone always gives in. But right now, nobody's giving in because both sides think it's worse for the other side. So there's a lot of tactics going around. On the Democratic side, Chuck Schumer's trying to, for once in his life, appear somewhat tough, which is a hard look for him, as you can see here.
Hakeem and I sent a letter in late July. We demanded, actually.
You can hear him realizing that I sent a letter sounds very passive. I sent a strongly worded letter, so he changed it to
Hakeem and I sent a letter in late July. We demanded, actually, to them. We demanded.
But I will say the polling is slightly different. So in previous government shutdowns, like in 2013, Democratic voters strongly favored just compromising with the other side and making sure the shutdown goes on. Now it's much closer. Now a lot of voters would like them to stand on principle and fight for something. There's a lot of push from Democratic voters to be like, show some kind of spine, you're getting rolled over completely. They control all branches of the government and they're just shoving through their agenda. So it's a little bit different this time around. On the other side, the Republicans, which again control these branches of government, are doing everything they can to push their message through these branches of government. So, for example, Republicans, because they control government, control the Small Business Administration. And they sent this to small businesses in America that receive government funding and said, make your out of office message this. I am out of office for the foreseeable future because Senate Democrats voted to block a clean federal funding bill leading to the government. They're like making it part of the government. In fact, if you go to the Housing and Urban Development website right now, they put a giant red banner on it saying the radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their 1.5 trillion wish list of demands, which again is just to continue the current healthcare system. So it's getting pretty crazy all around. Now, listen, it might be tough to decide. Again, I'd say the average American, well, maybe they're leaning one way or another right now, but I'd say the average American is polling extremely low on Congress as a whole. It's one of the most disliked institutions in all of government. People are very upset with our inability to get anything done. And in these type of situations, who should we blame? How should we figure it out? Well, we can ask someone about that. Donald Trump in 2013.
First question, Donald, we're having a hell of a time trying to negotiate here in Washington. So tell me, if you were president, what would you do?
Well, very simply, you have to get everybody in a room. You have to be a leader. The president has to lead.
Okay. But who do you blame, Donald?
I hear the Democrats are going to be blamed and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
They're not going to be talking who the head of the House was, the head of the Senate, who's running things in Washington. So I really think the pressure is on the president.
I would have to agree. But while this is happening, the president is tweeting out fake AI-generated videos of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries saying nobody will vote for us because we want the woke. So it's not seeming likely that anyone can actually get in the room and get this figured out. So buckle up, America. It feels like we're in for a long government shutdown. Now, I don't know. In the past, the pressure of this shutdown is so massive and it's so bad for keeping things running. And both parties receive such negative feedback, they usually do figure it out. But if it drags on, because we are in unprecedented times, there is literally no incentive for anybody to go across the aisle and be bipartisan on anything. Everybody just plays to their base and tries to wait it out. So I really don't know how this one's gonna play out. We could be in for a longer shutdown than we expect. And that can have problems. Again, Donald Trump is saying,
we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop, and they don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country.
He's doing it for the country because the Democrats want transgender for everything. So we have to fire 750,000 people. And
That's
some
so
of them he is
fucking
threatening
deluded.
to make permanent. Again, as you read here, he is saying there's some Democrat things that during the shutdown we'll be able to get rid of, which is leading to some pretty big lawsuits from major unions that he has threatened to, have mass layoffs during the shutdown, which, all of this is problematic because it's coming at the same time as we are seeing worse and worse actual job numbers. In fact, government jobs has been one of the few things keeping the jobs numbers up. Government jobs are like the last bastion of job growth. And I want to be very specific about this. So it's going to be hard for us to see the impact of this because the institution that makes the jobs numbers, the BLS, is now shut down. They were supposed to release jobs numbers this Friday. They cannot do it. They will not be doing that. So we are not going to know how the jobs data is going during this government shutdown. However, the ADP jobs numbers, which are private sector, did come out today, and they were horrendous. It was estimated they would grow 50,000 jobs. Instead, we lost 32,000 jobs, an 82,000 job swing. This is not a good direction. This is flashing red. And this is before a government shutdown, which could lead to 750,000 people not getting paid, which means not spending, which means more jobs lost in the economy. Now, there are a few things still open. Air traffic controllers will still be required to work. Some parts of the military are still active. The functioning part of government is still going. For example, you still have to pay your student loans, but your FAFSA associate that can answer questions about your student loans is not going to be available. All the payments are still due, but the people you can talk to get it figured out are not. One thing that I thought was very interesting is that the FTC's antitrust division is shut down, as in they can no longer sue to block mergers. In fact, the one major merger case they have is being shut down. However, the part of the FTC that approves mergers is staying open. So, I'm not kidding, right now, companies are rushing to file their merger requests so they can force it through when there is absolutely no chance it can get blocked, but a very high chance it can get approved. It's open season, baby! It's open season!
The roof man has returned to rob again.
Good morning, team. Oh, no, don't be scary. Dwayne, get your coat.
I don't have one.
Are you serious? Here.
Also, my ears are cold.
You need to find a place to hide.
If he tries to run, we'll be ready.
What an interesting time. Now, look, I really want to go back to this chart real quick and just say, look, obviously I've been very extremely critical of Trump administration thus far. I found like this constant chaos is just leading to worse outcomes in our regular life. And I think at the end of the day, continuing the ACA subsidies makes perfect sense. It's fine. But on a broader macro level, The fact that a year when I was a child, 1997, is the last time we were able to pass a budget on time is fucking crazy. And I think what I'm seeing with this shutdown is that we are, we're through the looking glass on government even pretending to be somewhat effective. Many people in this chat were born after 97, which means their entire lives, our government hasn't even been remotely on time or effective with planning to decide what they're gonna spend on for the year. Not only are our budgets massively bloated, massively filled with deficit spending, massively borrowing from the future, but we can't even agree. We can't even vote to agree on anything. And we're getting slower and slower and slower at responding to the real problems that are coming up. I find it to be frankly disgusting. I understand why this shutdown is happening, and I understand. I feel sick with both sides on this one, even though I'm madder at Trump. Just because I find it to be unconscionable that we have to put up with this fucking terrible Congress. This horrendous, useless, incompetent Congress for years and years and years, and the real problems are only getting more severe. It's so frustrating. This is real people's jobs, real people's lives, real people's economy that are getting worse in front of us. And everyone is just fighting on TV and making stupid social media posts for this news cycle that has real impact. I hope this gets figured out, and I hope the shutdown ends. But I hope more that we understand that this is like the end of democracy, bro. People are finding that, we read a book recently, Doug Aiden and I, called Breakneck. It was about some of the differences between China and America. And it was a very neutral book. We talked about some really bad stuff in China, some good stuff in China, some bad stuff in America, some good stuff in America. But one thing it made clear is over the past 30, 40 years, America has been unable to do anything big. We have no big projects. We can't pass anything. We've gotten completely gridlocked. Everything is blocked. And so even if you really disagree with the authoritarian regime of China, which I do, but they at least can move, they can build something. They can build high-speed rail. They can make progress. And over time, that makes it harder to justify why you support this system if people can't figure out how to make it work for the regular person. It's just something I've been thinking about more lately, and this is so cartoonish. The way this whole thing is played out is so cartoonish that it's just got me thinking of how, I don't know, morose I am about it. But I would love to end on a happy note, but I have to go. There's my wife, and I have to go to a triple date. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we get this shit figured out, man. It's crazy. The market cap, okay? The market cap in green, blue, and black is available today for a limited time. The market cap, all right? If you wear this hat and you were broken out into your own company, you would be bigger than Nike. That is a fact. All right? Your net worth will reach billions. Highly recommend checking this out on failedcoast.co. In fact, I'm gonna wear it for this presentation.
See Radical Defense, a new option in antioxidant serums. A novel form of vitamin C is encapsulated in a unique delivery system and combined with 14 proven antioxidants. C Radical Defense delivers the protection of a vitamin C.
This is Flint, Michigan. Poverty, crime, and poisoned water?
Ain't got a dime. We just dying slowly but surely.
You shot in the face?
Knocked all my teeth out.
Whoa, holy sh! Went straight in your mouth. $200 for that lot.
Yeah.
That's it.
At the most.
With approximately 40% of people living beneath the poverty line, median income only $36,000 a year, Flint is the poorest town in America. But poverty and decay isn't the only thing haunting the legacy of Flint.
April 25th, 2014, politicians in Flint, Michigan pushed a button switching the city's drinking water source from Detroit system to the Flint River, later admitting their critical failure to treat that river water, causing it to corrode lead pipes and poison people.
Flint's tap water was laced with dangerous levels of lead.
What happened to us before was profit was put over the health and well-being of our community.
The state knew about it and did nothing.
This is not a stunt.
Flint water at this point is drinkable.
Over 10 years after Flint's toxic water crisis, and just a few months after the EPA declared Flint's water safe to drink this year, has the water actually gotten better? And what does the future hold for the people poisoned and abandoned by their government? I pulled up to Beecher, Michigan, 5 miles north of Flint, described by some as a depressing suburb of Flint, mirroring similarly atrocious levels of poverty and decay, to meet up with local rapper Crispy and his gang to see how life was out here before we head straight into the heart of Flint.
Can we get a poll? Oh, now you got your prints on there. This place is no joke. We're in an extremely poor area. The water quality's fucked. There's not many job opportunities, and there's some gang shit. So we gotta be on guard. Oh, dang, he's got a go-kart. Nice. The glizzy in his right hand. You need 2 hands for that glizzy. Be careful.
Oh, my heat, no. I don't know. I see all these ladies.
Oh, shit. For defense only.
Yeah, you know.
Defense only, protection. How easy is it to get a Toys R Us gun like that?
It's so easy. You gotta take it from a nigga. See, me, I passed on the nigga though, like dice. That's how I got this.
Okay. Have you ever had to use your movie prop?
No.
Good.
He a gambler, a trapper, a rapper, and a jack boy all in one.
Allegedly.
Hey, allegedly. Yo, man's
What is that? Oh, shit.
It'll happen.
That's a crazy movie prop right there. Everyone comes here.
Everybody and their mama is gang around here, man.
Can you not be a part of a gang out here?
It's a difference. Like, okay, you got the regular Beecher people, Bucktown people. It's still like a gang, though. They ain't in the streets for real, and we respect that.
Okay, you let them be. You let them do their thing.
It's more mascotish because the culture we lived in. I told you, like, our high school is a letter B. Everybody wore red. It's the tradition.
That's a cool vehicle.
What he do? What he do? From the real ghetto, bro. We're from the ghetto.
Woo. That's a sick automobile right there.
The water tower say Bucktown. You know how?
What is this?
This is the biggest B in Beecher. I got the biggest B on my neck in Beecher.
Despite the dizzying quantity. Of guns in possession, the people of Beecher had an unusual sense of community pride and brotherhood if you were one of them. But with that being said, it seems like everyone out here had a story of how they got shot.
I got shot 4 times. I got shot twice in each leg. I got shot right here. Where that bullet wound at?
Let's see.
I can't see it no more. But I got shot 4 times. I got shot twice in each leg.
Damn.
He been shot in the face.
You shot in the face?
Knocked all my teeth out.
Damn. Okay. Oh, damn, the teeth came out. Whoa, holy shit. Went straight in your mouth.
Hey, they got real.
Got hit with an AK.
Hey, what percentage of people out here are strapped?
Man, every body, even the old people.
Everyone and their mother strapped?
Absolutely.
You have to?
You have to.
Isn't that dangerous out here?
Not necessarily. You know, if you're cool with everybody,
Yeah.
you're good.
And
This is my granddad right there. This is my granddad. He got a Beecher hat. What's up, granddad?
We all call him granddad, man.
You have any thoughts on the city?
Good city. Good people's in it.
Shiesty or no?
We get out of it. What's the put in it?
What did you put into it?
34 years, General Motors.
Okay. Any advice for the kids?
Get out of trouble and be a man.
Thank you, granddad. Have a great day. How is life as a lady out here in Beecher?
It's lit. Don't come around if you ain't from Beecher.
What about me, an outsider? Can I come down and visit?
Yeah, you doing the interview, he be making money off you. You good.
Damn. Would we get robbed if we weren't here with them?
Y'all might. It depends on what nigga y'all run into.
He said if you don't know nobody.
Don't come out here if you don't know nobody.
You ain't out here buying a drug or something and not become nobody custo.
You said they ain't spending no.
How is it out here?
It's really up out here and shit. A lot of females out here got dishes in they sink, doo-doo in they toilet and shit. Hella fucking kids and shit. Everybody damn near on drugs and shit. You know what I mean? This is crack land and shit. You know?
What's up, OG? How's it going? Get OG, man.
What's up?
That's a water gun.
OG. Okay, how are you doing? Where you from, man?
Punderbuck.
How is it out here?
Man, it's lovely, man. Man, we love everybody, man.
The whole crew, you know them?
Yeah, that's my nephew. From different people. Some love like y'all ain't never seen. You know what I'm saying? We different than the cost cop in the road. So don't put us with that. We ain't got bad water.
Oh, your water's good out here. Wait, the water's good? Ah, shit.
Not lying. They always talk about our water because we have our own water source.
Okay.
And they call it well water. it get pumped from the ground and we try to filter it out, but it still had little floaties and minerals and shit.
Yeah.
It was good for us because everybody grew up big and strong. Very seldom you find a nigga out here 5'5", little as
no midgets.
No, but you go across that way, them boys skinny, they little as hell.
Despite everyone here making sure to tell me Beecher water was fine and it was only Flint's 5 miles south that had toxic lead pollution, people here in the nearby Dollar General were buying bottled water every day for hydration.
As you know that Obama came here and drank the water, said it was all right. We still going through it. Water still, dirty water still coming out. We still brown.
What does it look like?
Yellow.
Yellow?
Disgusting.
Disgusting?
Very disgusting.
Don't drink it. We just don't drink it at all.
So can you drink the faucet water here?
I drink it. Shoot, we've been drinking it so long. It really don't even make me know. I make Kool-Aid with it. I don't even care. I do. It is what it is. At this point, we gonna die anyway.
Have you noticed the water quality improve over the last 10 years or so?
Nope.
Not at all?
Nope. I mean, the only thing, they stopped even giving out free water. Some people get sick off of it, you know, probably was causing cancer over time. Some people still boil their water to take baths and stuff. It been bad for a minute, man. Like,
eczema real bad, so it's really affected my skin real bad.
Okay.
So yeah, breaking out real ashy from using it.
I get like patches on my skin from using the water. But from shower, I have to shower in it, so.
All we drinking is the bottled water. That's all I drink.
Why is that?
I don't trust none of it. Come across Coppin Road, I'm in Beecher. And I come across Coppin Road, I'm in Flint. So how is they protecting us any kind of way like that?
I see. You bought water, bottled water. Why?
Because I don't trust that Flint water. Every week at my church, we used to give it out. That water only good for flushing the toilet. Where's the money for the people that's in Flint from drinking that old Langier water that they claim that was out here? We haven't heard nobody getting paid.
So they're poisoning you guys, trying to save money themselves, and all the people got poisoned?
Ain't got a dime. We just dying slowly but surely.
What have you seen from this water?
Well, there's pictures that they showed on TV where they was breaking out at the skin. You itch yourself to death.
What's the message to America?
All I can tell people is watch yourself, be safe, and stay in the house. Because you never know, it might be your last walk when you're out in the street in Flint.
Safe out here in Beecher?
Yeah, it is.
One big family?
One big family.
Always on top?
When you throw your bees up, can't go down, my baby.
Like this? Beecher.
It'd be different for us
I could've
because
flashed some.
our families grew up together. They mamas and
You guys all
aunties,
cousins or what?
almost like family.
How is life out here?
Oh, man, you know, out here, man, ain't no other neighborhood like this neighborhood in the United States of America.
Okay. In what way?
It's all like unity for the most part. Yeah, we have our ups and downs, but we practice this. We still have meetings, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We ain't got no hospital out here, so if you slide on our block and we shoot your car up, you're gonna die.
Am I good here as an outsider?
You here with us.
So I wouldn't even come down unless I had news from them. And if I did, I would be a fool.
Yeah.
Legit?
Bad.
Would I walk away with these two cameras?
No, because them nice.
What's your favorite part about Beecher?
I like to play tag.
And what do you want to be when you grow up?
A rapper.
A rapper. Do you rap already? Okay. I look forward to seeing more of your rap.
You want something? You shy?
Should we hear a bar?
Put a beat on your phone.
What's your name, miss?
Station.
Station. I like that. And your hands are soft and smooth. You use good lotion.
Yes, I'm very soft and I be smelling good. What's going on?
We're just out here in Beecher. How is it out here?
It's great. It's lovely. It's all love out here.
Listen, man, we all about women empowerment, man, with our chicks, man. We done beat up 300 baby daddies for playing with our baby.
For real, they don't play about the female.
Baby mamas or wives, whoever is getting beaten by their man, you'll check in?
Yeah.
You gotta, if they tell us we checking in, you feel me? We gotta check in because guess what?
Yeah.
They really gang out here, man.
Yeah.
If we got a problem with any female, they drag it.
And where'd you get this from, a crackhead?
Hell yeah, how you know that?
You know, word on the grapevine. How did a crackhead get their hands on this?
I can't even tell you that.
What's in the satchel?
I'm nothing in there right now.
Nothing.
Yeah, I got it on me.
I thought he was just packing a 12-incher. Yeah.
I swear to God, you can ask any of my homies. I done been in there 20 fist fights in my whole life out here in my hood.
Right here.
Yeah. We still can fight though.
So, do the kids still scrap it right here?
No, they more like switches on the guns. Not right
So they don't throw hands, they just kill each other with guns.
Right there, look. Hey, what do you got right there?
Hey, don't move. Hey, you got a big.
Right there. Oh, shit. Oh, for real? Damn, it's sucking blood. Damn. He damn near rearranged my vertebrae.
That mosquito was killing blood.
Hey, look, come here. You might want to get checked.
Blood on it.
There's 950 cases of HIV in the city.
I smacked the shit out of blood, but I didn't need to.
Look where he got it.
What does he have?
Right here, look. You want to see it? Look at that.
Oh, shit. That'll kill a mosquito. Is that a Glock?
Glock, Gen 5.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about the water.
So Flint obviously. So Flint's got the poisonous water. Beecher does not.
No, they water clean though.
We always used to get talked about our water, but then the water crisis happened. Sorry to the ones that lost their lives. We never recovered from that. We still drink water bottles. We can't even trust drinking water no more. It's not out here, not nowhere in the city limits. The Beecher water good for sports and talent. Like it's like special with sport and talent juice. Like if you want talent, you drink this Beecher water. Everybody who drinks from that, if they get with the right people, they excel.
Is that how your arms got so big?
Yeah, Beecher water, man. It's all this. It's Beecher, man.
How you doing, Auntie? My name is Tyler. Yes.
About 15 years.
Tell us about Beecher. What should we know?
It's a pretty safe place to live. Neighbors, we look out for each other.
Are you being honest?
Yes.
Oh, no, she being real honest.
Yeah.
She just said she for 15 years. Ain't nobody mess with her, nothing. Like, we got respect for.
Last week
something
somebody came in my yard.
Did what?
Broke in my car.
Broke in your car?
Yeah.
See, that's the new generation.
That's what I said. It's the newer people.
Who's doing that? Is it the youngins?
I believe so.
Like young kids? Like 12, 13, 14?
No, 15, 17.
Okay.
You know, they call me Super Shotty for a reason. If we see any wrongdoing to that type of stuff, we don't condone it. You will be, like, apprehended if we see you, though, like, do anything like that. Yeah, by me. You know what I'm saying?
Like a citizen's arrest type of thing.
Yeah, shotty arrest.
How is life out here?
I'll probably say about a 5.
Why do you say a 5?
It's nice and quiet because you have a lot of people that's still living here, that was raised here, like these guys right here, probably grandparents. But now it's like the younger generation that come in that's, no respect.
Introducing Grammarly, like you've never seen before. Your all-in-one writing essential. Imagine a little voice on your shoulder, whispering clarity, credibility, and citations. Expert Review gives you that voice of reason, a seasoned expert in your field by offering feedback only someone in the know could give. Whether it's business, science, or something niche, Expert Review is inspired by top-tier authors, peer-reviewed sources, and seasoned pros in that field. It can help you strengthen your arguments, draw direct quotes, frame your thoughts, and give your paper that experts touch to make it truly shine. You can even select from experts based on a series of categories. With Grammarly's Expert Review, you're not just writing with confidence, you're writing with world-class experts.
While the official narrative and media focus was on Flint's toxic water supply, Auntie here in the unincorporated community of Beecher, 5 miles north, said her water was equally disgusting. But real quick, are you tired of hunting for coupons and promo codes? Well, the sponsor of this video, Cooper, is a free extension that helps you save money while shopping online. It's simple. You install the free Cooper extension, and when you go to checkout on whatever site you're shopping on, Cooper automatically tests and applies the best available coupons. And Cooper has cashback offers for over 76,000 retailers that you can activate before completing your purchase. And as you browse products online, Cooper will display the prices other sites and platforms show what you're looking at so you can make the most informed shopping decisions. Cooper supports Chrome, Edge, Opera, Firefox, and Safari on desktop, and even Safari on mobile. With over 6 million weekly active users on desktop and 3 million weekly active users on mobile, smart shoppers use Cooper. Just to be clear, they don't steal commissions from affiliate links like some other company you might know. So click the link in the description, download Cooper, register your account, and see how much you save. Thanks, Cooper. Back to Flint. Wow, that's
just boiled. I don't even cook with this water.
Wow, has it always been that way?
When I first got here.
Look at that residue. That's heavy metal, yeah?
Yeah.
Something.
I don't know what it is. I don't even cook with the water. I just bathe in it.
Look at that. Does it taste weird?
Yes. You want to taste the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
So look at that. Look at that. Wow. That's some residue. Oh, no worries. Let's do a little. Water looks pretty good. Never mind. That looks pretty f***ed up.
Okay.
That's got a lot of residue in there. Kind of normal. Let's try it out. Tastes about average. You ever get skin rashes from bathing in it? Oh, good God. That's all from the water.
That's fine.
Holy smokes. No one ever talks about Beecher water.
I don't know why. I mean, it's still part of Flint.
You get flare-ups like that often?
Yeah, every now and then I get like spots on my legs, but...
And no one's done anything about it?
No, the doctor say it's age.
Something's in the water.
I mean, they said they put new pipes and stuff in, but I don't see no improvement. I mean, you could do it in the streets, but what about the pipes that's coming into our houses? I go through 6 cases of water a week. So that's 6 cases at $4 for a 40 pack. So
that's a lot of money. And the water here from the city's not cheap either, right?
Oh, no. We shouldn't even be paying a water bill. Why would we? Water should be free anyway.
You want to say what's up?
Hey, it's your girl Key. Reading the book, man, you know, ain't one of them. My water fine. I don't know about nobody else. My water is fine. This beach water. We don't got Flint water.
Do you drink beach water?
Sometimes with ice. It be good.
After inspecting the unacknowledged suburb of Beecher, we headed only 5 miles south to the heart of Flint, the birthplace of General Motors and a once booming industrial American powerhouse, to see how it looked today in 2025 and if the residents here trusted that the water was now safe to drink.
All right, we're driving around here. There's quite a few bandos, as in abandoned houses. Right up to our right here, we see a pit bull. I don't think there's a collar on that. I don't know if I want to find out and get chased out by a pit bull today. Anyone in there? We got a house that caught on fire right over here. Tough life out here, man. It's no joke out here. Hey, hello. How are you? Hi. How is the water?
The water's still horrible. As you can see, my kid's skin.
Some eczema?
Yep.
Shitty, crappy, dirty. Nothing has changed.
Has it gotten better in your lifetime?
Since 2014, yeah.
They say it, but
sure.
I don't think so.
Still terrible, sir.
I think it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Never really noticed a difference. I know I drank a lot of it. Just seems better now. I've been drinking it a little bit.
I don't think the water's any better. My dogs won't even drink it unless it runs forever.
I don't understand how they think they could change the pipes from the street and not change the pipes on the inside. It just doesn't make any sense.
Do you drink the water?
Oh, no, not me. Nope. Bottled water for me.
Bottled water only?
Yeah, I usually do.
Only bottled water or juice.
Okay. That's it? Yeah. Is it taste any different?
Tastes better.
I personally won't trust it again myself.
We still know it's bad, and if they ain't digging up the whole street and fixing the problem, they doing patchwork, we know they ain't did nothing then.
What do you want to see from the city?
Just a change. We still got kids and stuff that got lived through this, so I'm in the process of trying to get out of Flint. We're just looking for growth. It ain't too much here for our youth.
I just want the money that they're holding back. And for what? Acting like it's taken them all this time. I mean, come on. We've been waiting long enough to get paid for this crap. Give us our money and quit messing around.
Do you think they ever will give you guys the money?
It's doubtful.
No, I don't think they ever will. Well, I would like to see the neighborhoods better, the water improve, people get the money they're supposed to be getting. Just overall different leadership in Flint.
Everybody should be compensated for having poison basically sent into their homes through their water lines, being assumedly told, and as far as their knowledge was, that it was safe and they should have been able to drink and bathe in it, and there should be consequences.
Who got in trouble over it? Nobody that I know of. Nobody got in trouble, except the citizens that live here.
Just don't feel that we should have to pay for the stuff if it's not any good.
Even the dogs won't drink the water.
No.
What does it look like when it comes out of the faucet?
Bubbly, white looking, and my taxes keep going up. I think it's unfair to us.
Yeah.
Everybody around is complaining about their hair, losing hair,
Yeah.
more and more hair. There's a lot of kids that aren't quite up to par around here that you think should be up to par, and they're real young, and they're all from during the time that we've had bad water.
People still getting sick. Some people are using it and bathing in it, and their skin is cranking on up, like mine.
And you bathe in it every day, more or less?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a filter on it?
No filter.
Do you have like itchiness? Is that eczema? What have they said it is?
It's like an itchiness. It's like a breakout from like rust and dirt.
Okay.
Being allergic to lead and lead in the water, the iron, when you pour a drinking glass, you can see bubbles and stuff floating around.
Bubbles.
Over by mosquitoes and stuff, they're finding cancer in fish. I got cancer now,
and those things, a lot of people are still getting cancer and having other health issues because of the water. People having strokes, skin diseases. I have filters on my shower, my sink. The water actually totally rusted out my washer and dryer. I mean, like, just incinerated it. Yeah. I would just like them to clean everything up, and I would like them to pay people their money, because people have been severely damaged and PSED, like you said, because from using the water, like for years and years and years.
It's not right that Governor Snyder didn't get in more trouble for giving rights to poison all of us.
So some of the kids have some developmental issues out here?
I would say so.
We have a tribute of a sort right here. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day. It's very sad. There are high levels of gun violence out here, crime, poverty. Doing a video project trying to see if the water got any better out here in Flint.
Right now, when you download the Hardee's app and join My Rewards, say good morning.
He actually
for
takes
20%
no
off any
damage.
breakfast order of $10 or more. Wake up to the fluffy omelet biscuit or a home-style loaded burrito and save. That's goodness in Hardee's country.
Get ready with me as I go out for the first time in forever. I've got a content creation business, which LegalZoom's helping me register and start a trust for my kid.
When you need a legal hand, turn to LegalZoom.
What's up? It sucks still.
I drink that water.
I want to hear about it.
I live here. I'm homeless, and I drink the water
Where do you get the water if you live here?
from the main.
Oh, you pull from the fire hydrant.
Straight from the fire hydrant.
Can I see it?
Clear what? Clear and open it?
Yeah.
Or no?
Do you like put a hose up to it?
Nope. I fill up a 5-gallon jug.
Oh yeah, smart. Have you noticed any problems from the water?
No, I've been drinking it for 2 years.
How does the water taste?
Damn good. I'm hydrated.
It tastes all right to me. You know, some parts of the city are cleaner than others. You should still get your water tested.
Bull crap that people has to drink this water and get sick off it and stuff. You know, it should have been taken care of a long time ago. Now people are sick over it and suffering over it.
You're living in the car? Yeah. Okay, with puppy?
Yep.
Hi, little guy. What's his name? Oh.
Lucy Lou, take a picture.
She's very cute. She's
10 years old.
Do many homeless people live in those abandoned buildings? Yeah.
They do.
Is it available for sale right now? Can I buy just like a lot?
Yes, you can buy. You can buy all these lots.
Buy all these.
I own this lot.
You have a big backyard now.
Yeah.
And how much is a lot like that?
If you take care of it, they might give it to you free, anywhere up to $200 at the most.
$200 for that lot?
Yeah.
That's it. That's a steal. And how is life out here in Flint? How would you rate it out of 10?
To be honest, I've moved away from here.
This place was left behind, forgotten, gaslit, and poisoned by its own government. Despite the people here winning a $641 million lawsuit in 2020, becoming the largest civil settlement in Michigan's history, nobody I met here could mention a single person who had seen any of that money, despite 80% of those funds designated for children exposed to the contaminated water.
All right, let's go. You're a strong guy. You got the rights. Robert, what's going on in Flint?
People living life, trying to survive, you know, overcoming the struggles that we did have with the water. But they said they have fixed it. I still don't drink it. I still drink the bottled water.
Between the bullets and the water, not good.
Has the bullets always been a factor out here?
A few years ago, it was kind of mellow a little bit, but the last few years, it's gotten really bad. And the fires. Some days there'll be 3 fires in a week.
So we got fires, bullets, poverty, poison water.
I moved from Fenton over here to help with the church.
Okay.
But I'm ready to leave. Oh, and the hookers.
Hookers?
Oh my God. And Bell toward the corner. We used to have no ozone sign.
No zones?
No ozone sign in front of our house, but they tore it down just recently.
That's funny as hell.
Before this house was burnt down behind us last year.
Yeah.
They used to pull in that driveway up to the garage with the guys that pick them up. And then they would pull up here and in front of our house. They'll park wherever random. In front of your, you know, where they feel safe maybe. I don't know.
Out here, we have a bona fide no-ho zone sign.
It's a bad name, but Flint's not really a bad place. Some people that live here make bad decisions sometimes. Other than that, it's a good place. I love it. I love the people. There's nice people like you and people that help out.
Hell yeah. Do you see yourself raising a family here?
No.
Is Flint dangerous?
Yes. Just a lot of the gang violence, a lot of the shootings that happen down here. You can call the police and like 2 days later they'll show up just to check to make sure everything's all right.
Really, I was walking last summer down the street. Somebody jumped out with gunpoint and hit me in the head with a gun and robbed me.
Pistol whip you?
Yeah, and they took my backpack. I was shocked, man. I'm 43 years old. Nothing ever happened to me like that.
Yeah.
If you're out in the daytime, it's safe. But at night, around here in this neighborhood, you get a lot of hookers and drug dealers that come out at night.
How does the nice-ish downtown compare to where many of the people seem to live?
Well, I think the big difference is that downtown has more police, so not many people are willing to go out and do stuff. And over here, like I said, it just takes forever for police to arrive.
If someone were to break into my home, how long would it take the cops to show up?
I'd say at least 2 hours, maybe 3.
And is the water clean right now?
I wouldn't think so. Like I said, I don't trust it, so I ain't drink. I'll go get you a glass if you want.
Can we see it? Can we see the water come out of the sink?
I'm throwing it off the hose.
All right, let's see it. We'll do a little water inspection. I appreciate that, sir. Go real quick.
I'd be like, going down the road, you fuck.
If you want to support our boots on the ground, independent journalism that is not bought and paid for by corporate interests, along with exclusive DLC content that YouTube won't let me upload, and uncensored early access to all my videos before they go up on YouTube, go subscribe at patreon.com/Tyler Oliveira for less than $5 a month.
Come over here. Yeah, it looks pretty clear, I guess.
Mine's not as brown as others, but
yeah, it looks pretty nice, honestly. Is that new? Has it always looked this way?
it ain't always looked that way. It's newer.
Honestly?
But we put new pipes on here too, also.
That's all new piping.
Yeah.
How would you describe Flint in one word?
Broke. Just a very poverty-stricken area, this neighborhood in particular. Like, I walked to the party store on the corner down there. Had a guy try to solicit me for prostitution. I'm not a prostitute.
But they're doing what they can to make ends meet? Is that where you're getting at?
I think a lot of it is drug-related. I don't know a lot about the water. I just know that I'm very blessed. I live here because of the cost of living being so high as so many other places in the state of Michigan.
You want stewards of the land to come in here, keep the place nice, give you a decent deal, something like that?
I think I paid $22,000.
$22,000 for this?
Yes.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, I haven't experienced the water issue, but I haven't lived here but 2-3 years.
Okay, let's see. Oh, thank you. Looks extremely clear, honestly. Looks good to
While
me.
the water here may in fact finally be safe to drink.
So we got the new installations and it's noticeably better?
The water's
It's
clear
good?
now, yeah.
Okay, water has improved.
The loss of trust the residents here had in their government will never be recovered. While the American government and its people are easily convinced to support foreign aid overseas and to bomb countries most couldn't even point out on a map, perhaps charity should start at home.
I'd do anything.
Oh, you itchy buddy. You're in luck. Here at PetSmart, we have your pet.
Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. You daily dive into the news. It's Wednesday, and we've got a lot to talk about today. But first, an exciting announcement. I just launched my brand new podcast, Crashing Out with Philip DeFranco and Alex Perlman. Right? And it's a weekly Wednesday show in addition to this daily one that I'm doing where, if the Philip DeFranco Show is 90% news and 10% reaction and opinion, this new show, it's kind of the inverse of that, which I know a vocal minority of y'all have really been wanting. So, hey, go subscribe to the YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. It's in the top links in the description and the comments. The first episode is now up. You should watch or listen after today's show. But that said, we have a lot to talk about in the here and now, starting with this. It's official. The government is shut down. The Dems, they had a proposal to fund the government until October 31st, but their version had provisions to permanently extend enhanced ACA health insurance premium subsidies and restore nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts. But that got shot down with no Republicans voting for it. Right, and then Senate Dems voted against a GOP bill to keep the government funded at the current levels for a few more weeks until a long-term spending deal could be reached. With that getting a vote of 55 to 45, though of course that failed to break the 60-vote filibuster. And it also was an entire side for, entire side against that was very close. You had 3 Democrats joining Republicans and voting in favor of the legislation and 1 Republican voting against. And all of this, it kind of felt inevitable. Because, well, there's often a lot of back and forth and everyone's concerned about the government shutting down. Like, especially here, it seemed like neither side was going to give in to demands. Because, well, Democrats, they said, we're not going to support any legislation that doesn't roll back Medicaid cuts and extend key Obamacare subsidies. You also had Republicans refusing to negotiate or make concessions. And so now with the shutdown actually happening, we've seen both sides continuing to point fingers at one another. And, while this blame game thing is pretty common, this time it is also a bit different, right? You have experts noting that we're witnessing the Trump administration do things that they've never seen before. Right? We've seen numerous agencies and their leaders joining in on the blame game and using official channels funded by taxpayer dollars to do so. And maybe one of the most notable examples was the Department of Housing and Urban Development, right, which currently has a massive banner on the homepage of their official government website that reads, "The radical left in Congress shut down the government. HUD will use available resources to help Americans in need." And that was also echoed in public statements from other agencies, like the Department of Veterans Affairs also issuing a partisan statement ahead of the shutdown saying, "Radical liberals in Congress are trying to shut down the government to achieve their crazy fantasy of open borders, transgender for everybody, and men competing in women's sports." Right, and that, as you had DHS Secretary Kristi Noem writing, the Democrats will be forcing over 150,000 officers and nearly 50,000 members of the military, our front line of defense, to continue protecting our nation without pay. And it's also been widely reported that employees across numerous departments have received various iterations of an email from the White House Office of Management and Budget saying that a shutdown would be the fault of congressional Democrats. Right, and me saying this to you, you're probably like, okay, I'm not surprised, but it is a standout thing. Executive agencies and their leaders are usually not sharing these kinds of partisan messages. And in addition to ethics experts saying they've never seen anything like this, many have also argued that both public statements and the internal communications appear to run up against federal lobbying laws and may even violate the Hatch Act, or a federal statute that limits the political activities of federal employees and bans civil servants in the executive branch from engaging in most political activity while on duty. And so that it's its own messy battle. It's kind of just playing out on its own, but also as far as how Trump himself has responded, the president, at least as of recording, has been unusually quiet. But he really hasn't given any kind of public comment or even made one of his kind of all caps posts on Truth Social. But that is, there are plenty of people doing the job for him. For the official White House X account, it's been going balls to the walls, putting out tons of posts blaming Democrats for the shutdown, mocking Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and repeating the false claim pushed by many Republicans that Democrats are the ones that block the Republican bill because they want to give free health care to illegal immigrants. Right, and you also had J.D. Vance going on the offensive and echoing those narratives in an interview with Fox and Friends this morning.
But let's step back for a second, because I think it's important for the American people to realize that the far left faction of Senate Democrats shut down the government because we wouldn't give them hundreds of billions of dollars for health care benefits for illegal aliens. It's actually not even all Senate Democrats. This is basically Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, he's worried he's going to get a primary challenge from AOC, and so he's shutting down the people's government to give in to sort of the left-wing coalition in their party, and it's craziness, and people are going to suffer because of it.
Now, of course, like we talked about, his claim that Democrats want to give billions of dollars in healthcare to illegal immigrants, it's just simply untrue. Right, illegal immigrants are ineligible for federal healthcare programs and Obamacare subsidies, and Democrats aren't trying to change that. Right, at most, one of the things that Democrats are trying to do is restore a subsidy for certain lawfully present immigrants that Republicans cut in their tax bill. But then also, beyond that, you had AOC herself hitting back at Republican attempts to somehow blame her for the shutdown.
And I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly. Because what I'm not going to do is tolerate 4 million uninsured Americans because Donald Trump decided one day that he wants to just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. That's what's not going to happen. And so if those senators think that we're having a shutdown because of me, they're free to enter my office and negotiate, because what we're not going to do is allow all of millions of people in this country to not be able to afford their insulin and their chemotherapies.
You're also seeing Schumer out there defending his decision to lead his party into the shutdown, arguing that this is about a fight for health care. And with that, you had Schumer saying it's the Republicans' fault that we're in a shutdown now. So you have him calling it Donald Trump's government shutdown and saying that it's the Republicans refusing to protect Americans' health care. With him adding in another post, healthcare premiums across the country are doubling and Republicans shut down the government instead of fixing it. And so that's a point that we've seen many other Democrats also make it. Right, arguing that they don't trust that Republicans will actually negotiate with them in good faith if they agree to the stopgap bill. So they need to make their all or nothing stand now. And with that, they claim that it's evidenced by the fact that Republicans refused to even negotiate with them before trying to pass this bill. And because of that, Republicans are the ones responsible for the shutdown. And you also had California Governor Gavin Newsom honing in on reports that construction on Trump's new White House ballroom is going to continue amid the shutdown, with Newsom's press office saying, Trump, Marie Antoinette says, no health care for you, peasants, but a ballroom for the Queen. Or basically saying he cares more about his ballroom than Americans. So according to the White House, this project is being funded by private donors. But for now, who really knows what's going to happen? Right, it's unclear how lawmakers are intending to get out of this hole and end the shutdown. I mean, today you had Republican leaders in the Senate forcing another vote on the same exact stopgap measure that failed to pass yesterday, and wouldn't you know it, it failed again. Same votes, nothing changed. And so for now, there's two kind of main battles that are playing out. One is going to be who the public blames here and how that might affect the midterms, even though that's still so far away. And two, while the government is shut down, what sort of impact do we see? Right, on agencies, on their workers, and the services that they provide. Right, especially because we know that Trump has said that he wants to use a shutdown to fire federal workers instead of furloughing them like usual during a shutdown. And yesterday, it appeared that he said he'd even target Democrats specifically.
When you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats.
Now today you had a reporter asking Vance about those comments, and he responded,
We're not targeting federal agencies based on politics. We're targeting the people's government so that as much as possible of the essential services can continue to function. Let's be honest. If this thing drags on for another few days, or God forbid another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential services don't get turned off in other places.
But also at the same press conference, you had Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt seemingly contradicting Vance's claim that there would only be layoffs if the shutdown dragged on.
Unfortunately, because the Democrats shut down the government, the president has directed his cabinet, and the Office of Management and Budget is working with agencies across the board to identify where cuts can be made, and we believe that layoffs are imminent. They are, unfortunately, a consequence of this government shutdown.
This is a very fluid situation. It's one that's going to change as the shutdown drags on, and for now, I'd really love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions. But then next up,
Webster Store.
30 chairs, non-squeak. 15 non-wobbly.
Webster Store. In the news, are drug prices about to get a lot lower for Americans? With that, it's what many are asking after President Trump promised just that yesterday in an announcement with the head of Pfizer saying,
A major reason is that the American consumers have been subsidizing research and development costs for the entire planet. They put all of that on us, and yet they were the beneficiaries.
Right then, you had Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla adding,
I think today we are turning the tide, and we are reversing an unfair situation.
Well, this is going to apparently affect Medicaid pricing. The news that really grabbed a lot of people's attention was the government-run pharmacy TrumpRx.gov. Though I wouldn't head over there yet because the website doesn't actually lead anywhere, and it's not expected to until at least 2026. Trump claimed that direct-to-consumer pharmacy for those without insurance would lead to reductions of 14, 15, 1,600%. So to be clear, that is Trump math and not real math, because a reduction of 1,600% would mean that you would be getting paid by the government to get pharmaceuticals. And so later they clarified that this could be upwards of a 50% discount. And so with this, all of this, it sounds great on the surface, but you have many experts saying, the devil is in the detail. Right? And currently we know pretty much none of the details, other than this would be for people without insurance currently. And so one, if as explained, this could be obviously great news. So this also is, two, it might not be a widespread win. And that in part because you had an official anonymously telling outlets that in the end, those with insurance won't have their prices affected and will still be paying less. Not to mention that Medicaid already has relatively low pricing, so it's unclear how much this is actually going to affect them. But the whole situation that we find ourselves in before we actually see the full impact, it's not a surprise. Right? The Trump administration has not been shy about making threats to the pharmaceutical world. Earlier this year, they sent a letter to drug makers warning them that they had 60 days to lower their prices or face tariffs. And Pfizer, they ended up being the first to bend the knee, and in return, they got a 3-year grace period from any tariffs. Also, as far as we're seeing with this recent news online, the reaction's generally been positive, despite, this move possibly not moving much in the grand scheme. We even had Mark Cuban, who's been extremely critical of Trump and runs his own low-cost pharmacy, saying on Twitter, to the admin's credit, they have some great people working on this project. Chris Klopp knows his stuff. Cole, so does his staff. They put people first. So I give the program and what we know as of today a grade of B. And adding why not an A? The stock prices of pharmaceutical benefit managers didn't get crushed, which means so far no one expects much change for them. Now also, as far as the reaction online, you have some kind of mocking Trump about this whole thing. Right in that, because a government-run business is kind of maybe more in line with progressive policies than right-wing ones. But as many have also pointed out, it's not really so black and white. And in many cases, right-wing governments also have embraced government control of businesses as a means of control. But again, as we often say on this show, and as is very important in life, words are words and actions are actions, and we're gonna have to see what happens here, though we fully won't see that until 2026. And so personally, I'm just kind of left hoping that whatever the result is, Americans should be getting life-saving pharmaceuticals for cheap. If that ends up being the actual result, it's something that I'll cheer on. But this world has also trained me to be, if not cynical, at least skeptical, and so I'll always at least be that. And then there's even more that we've got to dive into. But first, let me say, have you ever had earbuds so bad that they make you want to just listen to silence instead? Because listen up, today's sponsor, Raycon, they're having an anniversary sale, which means that their essential battery anxiety recharge. Let's already know what's up, and they back it with a 30 should too. But then next up in the news today, the war between Donald Trump and Harvard University just entered the "you're totally full of shit" stage. Just a quick refresher to talk about today. Back in April, the White House accused Harvard of allowing anti-Semitism to flourish on campus, and they issued a list of demands, including enforcing so-called viewpoint diversity. Harvard then refused, so the White House froze over $2 billion in research grant funding. They tried to ban all international students from attending and threatened Harvard's accreditation status. And all of this, it's been getting sorted out in the courts for months, but now it's being reported that Harvard wrote a 28-page letter basically calling Trump out on his bullshit, right? Because at the center of this is an investigation by the Health Department's Office of Civil Rights, which has been used as the justification for everything that the administration's done. But according to this letter, the evidence in that probe is paper thin, and it ignores the other evidence that points in the other direction. Right? So for example, the so-called evidence reportedly includes anonymous posts on the third-party app SideChat, which Harvard isn't even affiliated with, as well as a survey from 0.5% of the student body, which the letter says HHS drew sweeping conclusions from. And in fact, it claims that the only specific incident that, if true, would show anti-Semitism disrupted a student's access to education wasn't a first-hand account. Supposedly, it was an anonymous account from a single student who alleged that, quote, other students stopped going to a class because those other students did not feel safe. Right, and that incident didn't even come from the health department's investigation. It came from Harvard's own probe into itself. Now, HHS did cite another incident of apparent anti-Semitism, but it too is less simple than it appears. The claim is that an Orthodox Jewish student reported her mezuzah had gone missing from her dorm door. You at Harvard noting that it was found in the hallway 3 doors down, suggesting that it fell off the door because the adhesive tape gave way. And hell, even the student herself, though she believed that there was an act of anti-Semitism, penned an op-ed for the U.S. News and World Report saying her experience should not be used to justify defunding the university. Writing, "No one from the administration ever contacted me to discuss what happened. No one from Washington asked what would make me feel safer at school or what policies might help Jewish students on campus." Now, with all that said, right, whether Harvard's policies around anti-Semitism could be improved, that's not really in dispute, right? Even the university admits it's not perfect, but it also argues that imperfection isn't the same as illegal. And specifically here, for a Title VI violation, which is what the White House is alleging, 5 things would have to be proven in court. The harassment of members of a protected class was severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive. That harassment denied students access to education. Harvard had actual knowledge of it. It happened within the university's programs or activities, and Harvard's response was clearly unreasonable. But in Harvard's letter, Harvard argues that 0 of those conditions were actually met. They're pointing out that even for the pro-Palestine encampment on campus last year, that was temporary, mitigated without concessions to the activists, and did not block students' access to education. And that is the university citing its active reporting system, sanctions against pro-Palestine student groups, and the termination of employees involved in allegedly anti-Semitic conduct as evidence of a good faith response. If anything, the university, it paints the government as acting in bad faith, noting it chided Harvard for failing to hand over documents that it never actually requested. They also pointed out the apparent contradiction in using Harvard's own investigation into itself as evidence that Harvard's not taking anti-Semitism seriously enough. And then, according to Harvard, the health department referred it to the Justice Department before even giving Harvard guidelines to come into compliance. And well, apparently, at least one federal judge agrees, because earlier this month, she ruled that the funding freeze was illegal and rebuked the White House for ignoring Harvard's concrete actions to comply with federal law. But despite all that, on Monday, HHS referred Harvard to the federal suspension and debarment process. And if you get debarred, you're basically blacklisted. You can't get any more funding or contracts from any federal agencies. And that, it would be an enormous hit for the university, which got 11% of its operating budget from federal research dollars last year. But then, just a day after HHS took that step, you had Trump saying that his administration is close to striking a deal with Harvard.
We're in the process of getting very close, and Linda's finishing up the final details, and they'd be paying about $500 million, and they'll be operating trade schools. They're going to be teaching people how to do AI and lots of other things, engines. Lots of things, we need people in trade schools.
And so we're getting contradictory signals about where things actually stand with Trump and Harvard right now. But also, this is just one facet of Trump's war on higher education. But on another front, we got news from a federal court yesterday where a Reagan-appointed judge ruled that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Secretary of State Marco Rubio violated the First Amendment by targeting pro-Palestinian students for deportation. Or with the judge also specifically calling out Trump, writing, "The president's palpable misunderstanding that the government simply cannot seek retribution for speech he disdains poses a great threat to Americans' freedom of speech." And in a chilling sign of the times, he attached a threat that he had received via postcard at the very top of the ruling, with it reading, "Trump has pardons and tanks, what do you have?" To which the judge responded, "Alone, I have nothing but my sense of duty. Together, we the people of the United States, you and me, have our magnificent Constitution." But then next up,
yes, Rocket Money cancels subscriptions, but it also gives you total control over your finances.
Wait, how?
So do you ever feel like you have no idea where your money goes?
Yeah.
But Rocket Money quickly tracks your income, bills, and expenses.
in the news, we need to talk about the abortion pill, right? And that in part because a new study shows that it might be more important to reproductive health care than ever, but it's also under attack. And that also is, maybe over the past day or so, you've seen the headlines, but for the first time since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, abortions in the United States declined, right? And those numbers come from the Guttmacher Institute, which just published research finding that nearly 519,000 clinician-provided abortions happened in the first 6 months of 2025 in states without total abortion bans. So you're looking at a 5% drop compared to the same time last year. And then on top of that, travel for abortions to states without total bans declined by 8% over the same time, which might lead you to believe that abortions are down nationwide, though it's also not that simple, because Guttmacher only collected data from providers who can give in-person and online care in states without bans. So what that means is that self-managed abortions weren't counted. Neither were those who got abortion pills from community networks or other online means, and most importantly here, it does not count abortion pills that clinicians in Shield Law states mailed to patients in abortion ban states. In SHIELD laws, they're one of the most crucial access points for abortion care right now. If you're not familiar with this, several blue states passed these SHIELD laws explicitly allowing providers to remotely prescribe and mail abortion pills to patients no matter where they are in the 50 states, and then make sure that they're protected from out-of-state prosecution. So what that means is that a doctor in a SHIELD law state, let's say California or New York, they can prescribe the pill to someone in a state where abortion is totally banned, and that patient, they don't have to leave their state to get care. Right? And they can do that all from home, and these laws, they started popping up in 2023 following Roe's reversal, and they really changed how abortions can work in the country. So with that in mind, you had a senior research associate at Guttmacher telling Time magazine that this study does not necessarily reflect abortion rates nationwide, but instead highlights that SHIELD laws, I think, are a critical option that people are making use of. But also here, I think it's worth noting that different states had different stories. In Florida, they used to be crucial for abortion care in the South, accounting for 1 out of every 3 abortions in the area, but since the state enacted a 6-week ban in May of last year, that is no longer the case. There was a 27% drop in clinician-provided abortions in the first half of the year compared to last year. And that drop, it accounted for more than 40% of the national abortion decrease. And Florida's ban also likely contributed to an increase in travel to New York for abortions, which clash with the national trend of travel going down. And with that, you had the study also noting that the decline in out-of-state travel for abortions significantly contributed to the overall state-level declines in abortions. And again, noting that SHIELD laws allow people to get care without traveling, and some estimate that the amount of abortions provided via these laws increased between the beginning and end of 2024. So you had that senior research associate adding, this is an innovation of the last couple of years that I think has been incredibly important, and it's important that policymakers and advocates continue to protect and expand these provisions because it's clear that they've been incredibly important to the abortion access landscape in the US. But of course, a really huge thing is that those SHIELD laws cannot work without the pill, which is the most common method of abortion. Right? And so with that, you have many arguing that this just underlines the importance of the pill and the laws protecting it. But the pill, it's facing some questioning from RFK Jr., who just last week announced that the FDA is launching a safety review of mifepristone, which is one of the 2 drugs commonly taken for medication abortion. Right? And that is a big thing because there are already over 100 studies that have concluded that the drug is both safe and effective. But still, he's pushing forward with the review due to a non-peer-reviewed report from a conservative policy center that's gotten a lot of attention from Republican lawmakers. So with that, you had many, including Axios, noting that if the FDA enacts new restrictions to the pill, those could potentially include in-person prescriptions, which would then prevent those in abortion ban states from getting the drug via telehealth and SHIELD laws. Now that said, you do have some thinking that there's a chance that nothing actually comes from this review, that RFK Jr. is just simply doing this to buy time with these conservative AGs across the country who have been pressuring him about the pill. But this also, as you had one advocate arguing, this is political interference designed to rip away our freedoms. California's Attorney General calling the review unnecessary and baseless, and some fearing it could get the Tylenol treatment. But ultimately, we're gonna have to wait to see where this goes. And in the meantime, I'd really love to know your thoughts, opinions, reactions, and maybe even your experiences with this over the past 2 years, let's say, whether it be firsthand or secondhand. And then we've got more we got to dive into, but first let me say, WhatsApp literally said, "We're secure," and hackers basically went, "Hold my beer," because a newly patched flaw let attackers chain bugs in both WhatsApp and iOS to quietly steal data from targeted users, which is exactly why I don't trust apps to keep me safe. I use today's sponsor, NordVPN, to lock down the rest of my digital life. And here's the scary part. This wasn't random. Fewer than 200 people were hit over 90 days, meaning that someone somewhere picked them out on purpose. And even secure apps can become surveillance tools overnight, and if you rely on them without backup, you're basically leaving the door wide open. But NordVPN, they deadbolt that door with strong encryption, shielding your traffic from snoops, hackers, and even your own ISP. And their Threat Protection Pro, it goes further, blocking malware, phishing sites, and trackers before they even touch your device. Add in double VPN, a kill switch, and a strict no logs policy, and you're not an easy target anymore. Whether you're worried about stalkers, coffee shop Wi-Fi creeps, or advanced campaigns, NordVPN's the extra layer you didn't know you needed. So yeah, always update your apps, but don't stop there. Protect your connection. Scan that QR code or head to nordvpn.com/Phil to get a huge discount on a 2-year plan, 4 extra months free, plus 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/Phil. Then next up in the news, well, obviously a lot of the coverage today and this week, it's very focused on U.S. domestic news. We should also talk about this Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant situation in Russia-occupied Ukraine. Because what you had is that it was disconnected from the power grid for the past week, which actually made it the longest and most alarming of the several outages that had taken place since Russia seized the facility in the first weeks of the 2022 invasion. And even though the plant right now isn't actually producing electricity, it does need power to keep the fuel in the reactors cool and stop the meltdown from happening. And that, it's being done with the help of diesel generators because it doesn't have external power. Right? And so then with that in mind, you had Ukrainian President Zelensky claiming yesterday that the generators in the plant were not designed for this, and explaining they, quote, "have never operated in this mode for long, and we already have information that one generator has failed." And he was Zelensky going on to say it is Russian shelling that prevents repair of the power lines to the plant and the restoration of basic safety, and adding, "This is a threat to everyone. No terrorist in the world has ever dared to do to a nuclear plant what Russia is doing, and it's right that the world does not stay silent. And then along with that, you had the head of Ukraine's State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate saying in a statement that the current situation poses great threats to nuclear and radiation security, and that all of this could well lead to the worst case scenario. But that's also not to say that we have another Chernobyl on our hands. You've got the International Atomic Energy Agency reporting that the plant is operating 8 diesel generators with 9 units in standby mode and 3 in maintenance, and also noting that the site still has fuel reserves for more than 10 days of operation. And you've got the head of the agency saying there is no immediate danger as long as the generators keep working, but then also adding, it is clearly not a sustainable situation in terms of nuclear safety. Neither side would benefit from a nuclear accident. So with that, you also had him saying that the IAEA was working with both sides to restore the external power, and that both sides have pointed to military activity as an obstacle to making the necessary repairs. But notably with that, Ukraine has previously offered to repair a backup power line that was disconnected in early May, but Russia has declined to take them up on. And that is, as far as Russia, the plant's Russian
Unfortunately, Polly probably has this. He's so busted.
Under control. And then you had a spokesperson from the Kremlin pointing the finger at Ukraine, claiming the station and nearby facilities are subjected to constant attacks by the Kyiv regime, saying it would be, to say the least, absurd to accuse the Russian side of shelling a station that it itself controls. And then actually, you also had that same spokesperson slamming EU plans to build a so-called drone wall along its borders with Russia, which is also something we got to talk about because you had EU leaders gathering in Denmark today to talk about. And they see this conversation as being increasingly urgent in light of the fact that they keep seeing more and more unidentified drones flying all over the place, right into their airspace. I mean, just talking about Denmark, several airports were closed there last week due to unexplained drone sightings. Some were even sighted over the country's largest military base. You actually had the Danish military announcing today that there will be an increased presence of foreign troops and equipment in the country, with 10 allied nations, including the United States, reportedly providing some form of anti-drone and surveillance support. But again, it's not just Denmark. There have also been unidentified drones over Sweden, Finland, Lithuania, and northern Germany. And while there's not definitive evidence of Russian involvement, European leaders fear that this is all part of Russia ramping up its hybrid war on the continent, with this also being linked to recent Russian incursions into NATO airspace, including over Poland and Estonia. And so again, with this drone wall, it wouldn't be an actual physical wall, right? It would be a network of sensors, signal jammers, and other technologies aimed at detecting, tracking, and intercepting drones. And one of the big things here is you actually had Ukraine offering up expertise that it's gained over the past few years of having to deal with Russia. But it's all seemingly early stages, right? It's not clear exactly what this drone wall would look like, how much it would cost, or when it would be complete. But it's also not the only thing being talked about in the meeting in Denmark today, because it's also the first opportunity for EU leaders to actually debate a proposal to use frozen Russian assets to fund a major loan to Ukraine, which is an idea that the Kremlin has condemned as pure theft. And so you had that, as well as Russia hitting back at the news that the U.S. is considering Ukraine's request to sell them Tomahawk cruise missiles, which would allow Ukraine to strike as far as 1,500 miles into Russia. It's easily far enough to hit Moscow. So a lot we're going to have to keep our eyes on, right? Whether it be conversations or activities, but we'll have to see how this plays out. But then from that, finally today, let's end with a congratulations. And
Visprint prints everything to get your brand in front of your fans, like t-shirts, water bottles, and totes. So
ads are always so low.
One last thing. Starting with congrats to Wilbur M., right? SeatGeek's latest.
Rise and grind, scammers, for one of our greats has fallen again. By the way, I just woke up, so forgive me if I sound tired. But it's because I've been losing sleep over the fact that a YouTube beloved, an internet icon, for better or for worse, another notorious online person has bitten the dust, which you would think he shouldn't have been able to. I'm talking about a man who possessed all kinds of knowledge. His chariot was none other than a black Lamborghini, parked in the Hollywood Hills. You know who I'm referring to. Sir Tai Lopez. Remember when Tai Lopez was just selling an online course? And he's just trying to scam people into, I don't know, being smarter or something? And here he is now, facing criminal charges for running an alleged Ponzi scheme. Who would have thought? Let's get into it. Now, I don't have any snake oil to sell. I just have a stand-up comedy set, which you can come see. Thank you, everyone that came out to the San Diego and Austin shows. Those shows were awesome. At the time you're seeing this, I just left Philadelphia. I'm on my way to New York, and I'll be doing Boston and D.C. as well. So yeah, come see me if you live on the East Coast. I don't know when I'll be back there. Buy a ticket at noelmillerlive.com. Now let's get into the man of the hour, him and his boys. First of all, Tai Lopez is not just named in some random article. He is on sec.gov. And I would look at this as maybe getting like a verified badge if you're a scammer, right? Because you might be scamming stupid shit online. I don't know. Beats, leaking people's music. But if you make it to sec.gov and your name is in that headline, What is this, like winning a Grammy if you're a scammer? I mean, this has got to be a badge of honor, or at least, you know, the road to it. I never realized that Ty's full name was Ty No. It's like God was telling him all along, Ty No. Don't do it, Ty. Tino Adrian Lopez, Alexander Farang Mayer, and Maya Rose Birkenroad. U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission litigation release. I'm just reading you this text because that's all YouTube videos are, right? It's just me reading text and you do the dishes. Me reading text and you do something else in your life, right? On September 25th, 2025, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged Tino Lopez and Alexander Mayer, co-founders of Retail E-Commerce Ventures, LLC, REV, and its chief operating officer, Maya Birkenroad, collectively, the defendants, with conducting a series of fraudulent securities offerings, misusing investor funds, and making Ponzi-like payments to investors. Now, you may remember Ty Lopez was doing the capitalist equivalent of necromancy. He was taking gutted retail chains and trying to bring them back from the dead. He shoved both his hands up the spines of two coveted brands of the late 90s and the early 2000s, Pier 1 Imports and Radio Shack. Now, if you didn't grow up pre-housing crisis, you know, early 2000s, late 90s, I think it's important to give you a little bit of the tone and atmosphere of these stores. Pier 1 Imports is a place your mother took you on a Sunday, and your father might have taken you to Radio Shack to buy a landline phone. And both of these places induce existential dread. I had self-deletion ideation as early as 8 years old because of these stores. They were wildly depressing in a way that I don't think I could ever perfectly describe. I just know that at 8, 9, 10 years old, as soon as I walked into a Pier 1 Imports, I felt this heavy, and it was almost maybe my body realizing, yes, sir, this is life. Going to look at couches and diodes for RC cars. This is it. This is existence. Anyways, let me get back to the article. A pair of e-commerce entrepreneurs who bought a number of well-known retail brands, including Radio Shack, Model Sporting Goods, and Pier 1 Imports, out of bankruptcy, are accused of running a Ponzi scheme. Through their holding company, Mayer and Lopez acquired distressed brick-and-mortar companies in order to turn them into successful online-only brands. Dress Barn and Linens and Things were also among their acquisitions. Holy shit, dude. What the fuck? This is like when fighters burn out of the UFC and then they put them in bare-knuckle boxing. I don't know who's nostalgic enough to shop at linensandthings.com. That's another store, man. Even when I was a kid going into that store, that shit looked like it was going out of business. So I don't know if anyone has positive memories of that place. Rev acquired Radio Shack in 2020, 3 years after the nearly century-old electronics chain filed for its second bankruptcy. Dude, double bankruptcy? Who are these, my parents? JK. Radio Shack first filed for Chapter 11 protection in 2015. I remember that. I remember that distinctly because I was working at its overlord. The one that ousted it. The beast that continues to exist today, which is Best Buy. And for all my trash talking about Best Buy throughout my career, Best Buy were the formative years of my life. They did inform me about how crazy people are over a laptop that is $300. I've seen people with far too low blood sugar and negative bone density get into fistfights over a $300 Acer laptop. Mind you, this was like a single core processor. They would fight for these laptops, man, and they would get them. And they would be right back in the store 2 weeks later because it was typically old guys buying them to watch porn, and they get a ton of viruses and be showing up and paying double the price to the Geek Squad to undo the virus on that coveted $300 Acer laptop. Now, I wasn't, super proud to work at Best Buy, but for some reason, when I saw Radio Shack go out of business, I felt the need to drive by the last Radio Shack in our town and just throw up a middle finger in my blue collar. I had to hop out in my blue collar and khakis and just wave the birds.
How's it feel, pussy? Broke. You're broke now.
That's what I did. Sometimes we go to 7-Eleven and drink a couple Four Locos, come back to the Radio Shack as they were, doing the liquidation sale, and we just add to that by doing a little liquidation ourselves. We take a piss right there on the front door. Suck a dick. In 2023, Unicomer Group. Ooh, new name for the group chat. Bellas. That's your chopped uncle with the little joke right there. Unicomer Group acquired Radio Shack and in 2024 relaunched it as an e-commerce platform. Radio Shack's current owners are not named in the lawsuit. So that's crazy. Ty purchased Radio Shack and then he gave it away. Now, the fact that this company bought Radio Shack in 2023 maybe is a bit of foreshadowing here as to what the hell Ty Lopez was doing that he could be nailed with a Ponzi scheme.
Hello, everyone. We want to take a break to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Shopify. Kind of like this podcast, you might have an idea for something you want to start and eventually want to make money from, whether that be a business, clothing line, what have you. It's also easy to get held up when you want to start, a new business endeavor. You might think you don't have the skills. What if you can't do it alone? But Shopify is a great way to turn what ifs into why nots. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands that are just getting started. Now, you might be thinking, what if I can't make a website? Design one. Well, Shopify's got you from the get-go with beautiful, ready-to-go templates that match your brand style. You might be thinking, what if I need a hand? Well, Shopify can help you with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. What if people haven't heard about my brand, you might think as well? Well, Shopify helps you find your customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And of course, there's always the inevitable thought, what if you get stuck? Shopify is there to help you with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up with your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/companylot. Go to shopify.com/companylot. Shopify.com/companylot.
In 2022, Marin Lopez, quote, made material representations to hundreds of investors about the bankrupt retailers they had acquired. For example, to entice individuals to invest in their acquisitions, they said their portfolio companies were on fire and cash flow is strong. There's a nice little irony there about saying your portfolio companies are on fire. Boy, were they telling the truth. Watch that be Ty Lopez's defense in court. Your Honor, I was not being hyperbolic or figurative when I said on fire. I am on the spectrum, and when I said on fire, I was being true to my words. Our portfolio was on fire. We bought a series of bankrupt companies, and I tried to reiterate over and over to our investors, hey, this entire operation is on fire. It's a meme. And they yucked it up, and they laughed, and they took me figuratively. So is it my fault that they gave me $100 million?
That'd be an iconic defense.
The immediate quote after is what probably got them in trouble. Cash flow is strong. But, again, cash flow out. The companies are on fire, and the cash is flowing strongly out. We need money. We weren't lying. They also told prospective backers that money raised for a company would only be invested in that specific firm. Contrary to these representations, while some of the Rev retailer brands generated revenue, none generated any profits, the suit states. Consequently, in order to pay interest, dividends, and maturing note payments, defendants resorted to using a combination of loans from outside lenders, merchant cash advances, money raised from new and existing investors, and transfers from other portfolio companies to cover obligations. Neither Marin nor Lopez immediately responded to CBS News requests for comment.
Grow thicker, fuller hair in as few as 3 to 6 months with doctor-trusted ingredients. Hims prescription hair treatments are formulated with finasteride, proven to slow down hair loss.
If you read any financial news, allow me to take a tangent here. There's been a lot of chatter, a lot of talk about private equity gutting the remaining retail brands that we have. Taking lovely places like Joann's, if you're an arts and crafts person, and just running it into the ground.
It's like Ty Lopez kind of did that, but he did it at the end after all the juice was squeezed. And he's like, I don't know, he's like last to the party or something like that. Also, just very funny to me to take bankrupting brands and then you just continue being bankrupt for them. The SEC alleges that at least $5.9 million of returns paid to investors were actually Ponzi-like payments funded by other investors, as opposed to companies' profits. Now, guys, I'm not here to wash the reputation of a scammer. I have been in one of the houses that he claimed to own. All right, I have stood next to this guy. He's very nice in person. I can see why he gets hundreds of millions of dollars out of people. He's very good at that. Ty is the closest I think that I personally have ever gotten to a robber baron. I've read snippets and pieces about the Gilded Age, what it was like to be a cowboy, you know. Reach for the skies, give me your wife and your money. Give me 30 pieces of gold or I'm going to tie your kids up and put them on a set of train tracks. Man, that must have been cool back in the Gilded Age. That's like, what a threat. What a long, drawn out, just, I don't know, threat. He's got your wife and kids on, you know, on the rear of his horse saddle, and you're seeing him ride a good half mile. You can see the train tracks. You're just standing out there and nothing with your wagon going, no, please, I'll give you the gold and cured meat. And he's like, too late, partner. You're going to see me put him on the train tracks. And then he lays him on the train tracks. And then you're just waiting. Ty Lopez is a robber baron. He is the closest thing I will get to meeting an actual Red Dead character. I don't know any historical cowboys. I just view everything through digital media now. All my knowledge of history is completely wiped. Additionally, the federal regulatory agency claims that Marin Lopez allocated $16 million worth of investments for their own use, according to the filing. I mean, hey, you boys got to eat, right? I gotta run the bankrupt company. I mean, hey, you invested in me to do this tall order of restoring this thing from the dead. I gotta eat. And you know my taste. You know what I like? You know I like to live in the Hollywood Hills. You know I need a Lamborghini. They took all that stuff away before, but I need to get it back. And most importantly, you know what I need this $60 million? I'm Ty Lopez, by the way. I need this $16 million to purchase all my books. I got a lot of fucking books.
Now, here's the thing. I'm not trying to be soft on Ty Lopez running a Ponzi scheme. Okay, again, I'm not defending the guy, but I do have to say, because I didn't say this the first time, and I feel the need to say it now. If you invested in this, you're a moron. You don't deserve your money. Here's why, okay? When I said capitalist necromancy, that was a lot of words to say. He got people to pay for a dead thing. Take Radio Shack out of it. Could you imagine a guy being like, yo, bro, look at this horse. I know it was freshly hit by a bus, but do you remember watching it as a kid when it used to win and run? If you give me 10 grand right now, I'll make people pay for an imaginary version of it. Wouldn't that be cool? This business model does not work, all right? We've seen Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. That did not work. Coming back to reality, the premise of his business model is so dumb. It should not convince anyone to invest in it, right? He's saying, I'm going to take a dead brand, Radio Shack, and turn it into an online store. Maybe the idea here is I'll get people to shop on it based on nostalgia. Websites are not particularly nostalgic past, I don't know, Club Penguin, Newgrounds, stuff like that. But you're not going to get an online nostalgia by going to RadioShack.com. When you're just buying general, I don't know, electronics or groceries, the website is irrelevant. If a website called IPutDogsInABlender.com sold my normal groceries for 50% off, I would be a Prime service member on IPutDogsInABlender.com if I know all my groceries are 50% less than what they were previously. So unless he was doing that, this whole business model is, to me, is very stupid, or it was very stupid. This business model should not have convinced anyone to invest in what he was doing, but it did. Because the tried and true thing about a Ponzi scheme is it works. That's the fucked up part. That guy, he made that, and I guess maybe in society he should have been arrested, and it's like, hey, that was a fucked up thing you did, and everyone should know that you can't fall for this kind of thing, and it keeps happening. I mean, there are tons of recent examples. One I was just reading about, because after Ty Lopez, I was like, well, what's a recent Ponzi scheme that worked well? There was a Ponzi scheme that ran from 2018 to 2024, and it was two guys, and they were selling people on investing in vending machines for $8,500. Part of their business model was targeting veterans. How f***ed up is that? Hey man, I know the federal government didn't really pay you for what you did, but if you give me $9,000 and invest in a vending machine, I'm gonna take care of you. And those guys, that's not fair to them. They grew up on when shit was a quarter. Saying, we put a quarter in a gumball machine. Those guys put a quarter in the fucking gas pump, and that filled the whole tank. So when you say, hey man, I'm gonna make you rich off a vending machine, they're like, you're selling products for $5 whole? I'm gonna be loaded.
No, I need it this week. This week.
From cups to espresso machines, get everything you need without the stress. That's the Webstaurant way.
The idea of getting like a subsidized personal loan to buy a vending machine.
And we're not laughing at old people in a tough situation. We are laughing at the predatory nature of the society we live in. Now you heard that big ass voice behind the camera, feeling all confident. That brings me to my next segment. Now, when you think of Ponzi scheme and who falls for a Ponzi scheme, you're thinking maybe vulnerable people, unassuming people. But if you pivot to, I don't know, a crypto scheme, like Gary Vee trying to sell you drawings done by a 5-year-old, or Logan Paul trying to sell you a digital dinosaur, you would think, well, that's clearly someone who is maybe older, maybe they're like a grown maverick, something like that. Like, you're like, who is investing in it? I'm kind of cutting myself off because, ladies and gentlemen, I have happenstanced on a unicorn in our modern society. What I feel is a unicorn. By the luck of the universe, I would have it that my opener, a recent opener for me in Chicago, and a guy who opens for me pretty regularly on the road. And by open for me, that's not a sexual thing. I do stand-up comedy, and this guy is the first person to go on stage, all right? Let's just get that out the way, all right? A gentleman by the name of AJ Leidig. You might know him as someone who's toured with me, or you may come to know him right now as a guy who fell for crypto schemes in his early 20s. I'm not doing this video with him to humiliate him. I'm doing this video to show you that you're doing okay. Not only do I love performing in new cities, but I also love checking out other comics when I travel. And lately, I've been looking to find the best deals on tickets when I travel. Which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's episode, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including my channel.
Dude.
Of
Go
course.
short as hell.
Of course.
Come
You're
on,
taller
man.
than me in regular life. I can't have that on
This
my
ain't fair,
channel.
dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said a minute ago when I was out of focus, now we're focused. And again, that's not my fault. That's AJ's fault.
That's completely on me.
I love AJ to death. He's very funny. You can always come see us on the road. We're doing a lot of shows this year. He'll be at my shows this year. But you unironically purchased the Gary Vee 5-year-old drawing.
Yeah. My name is AJ Leidig, and Logan Paul sold me a digital dinosaur.
Which is, I've always and I don't want to be disparaging to you, but I will be because we know each other.
That's okay. We're friends. Yeah.
I have always been fascinated because who you are. I never come this close in contact with someone who has done this.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you, bro?
I was 19. And I'll say this for the record. I did not like 19-year-old me. They would not have liked 19-year-old me. You certainly would not have liked 19-year-old me.
Oh, so you were looking for it. You saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, dude.
What was your...
I was trying to make it.
Could have just got a job or did some other shit. But he was
or stayed in college.
Yeah, the Logan Paul dinosaur will take me to...
Also, here's what's in... Because you said that on camera. You go, Logan Paul was selling digital dinosaurs. You only ever sold me the egg.
Oh, that's right. You never even got the dinosaur.
It never even hatched.
Wow.
Isn't that sad? I don't even know. I don't even know the breed of dinosaur that I lost tens of thousands of dollars to.
How much do you think you paid for that dinosaur?
I think like $7,500. Like an embarrassing amount.
Hold on.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Michael's Custom Framing.
Life has a lot of angles. If you want to be ready for all of them, you might need a check or two. Whether you're looking to buy a new home, or say congratulations, or you just forgot to pick up cash.
Holy shit. Did you guys hear something's going on with YouTube?
If you've been on Twitter, YouTube, or Reddit these last few weeks, you've probably noticed your favorite creators decrying that the end of the world is nigh, their channel is dying, and that you should sign up for their Patreon.
If we have to adjust to a new normal where every video upload gets
500,000
kind of like
views.
10 years ago views,
That's tough.
Well, I mean, views can't be that bad, right? Let me check. Oh, never mind. This is terrible. That line should be all the way up there. I've never seen anything like this before. You know what, guys? YouTube is not okay. There's something seriously wrong going on over there. Imagine how much money this is costing me.
All of these channels, despite seeing low computer views from August 10th onwards, had not seen a drop in revenue.
Oh, it didn't cost me any money.
Because that means it's likely to do with unmonetized views or ad block.
Typical YouTube, just punishing everyone for the mere existence of ad blockers.
The Spiffing Brit claims he spoke to people at YouTube and they confirmed they have not changed how they record views. And I believe him. And I actually believe YouTube are telling the truth as well. They haven't changed how they record views.
Well, you better tell me who to be mad at real quick.
But a change in the interaction with ad blocker prevented the view, or didn't send the data of the view in the first place.
Ah, lying idiot ad blockers. That's who I'm mad at. Yeah, and I guess I owe YouTube an apology, because it turns out they're okay after all. I was wrong, and I'm going to deliver my apology on this Twitter post right here from when everyone was still freaking out about restricted mode. Remember that? That turned out to be nothing. Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. Your hard work is in fact going unnoticed, with YouTube's restricted mode silently hiding content, including non-age restricted videos. You know, guys, I used to shit on YouTube all the time and whine and carry on because it felt like the right thing to do. But in my older years, I've realized that it's best to stay reasonable, wait for the facts. Because people say a lot of crazy things before the facts come in. I fucking hate you. Fuck you. Piss off, you wanker. Go fuck yourself. And that's just not good comment etiquette. Try this one on for size. My wife put restricted mode on my balls 3 months ago when I forgot our kid's birthday. Relieved to hear it's not enabled by default on YouTube to boot. This has been a real roller coaster ride for us YouTube people, figuring out who to blame for the sudden drop in views. Speaking of which, you should juice the algorithm to show everybody more roller coaster content. I've been going down that rabbit hole and I found a calming force. See for yourself if you don't believe me, and roller coaster video and tweet. Here, check it out for yourself. Oh, damn it, I just noticed the person throwing up. Now, it's a pretty common thing on YouTube to find people criticizing new changes to the platform. I mean, it's just all part of keeping this place true to its founding vision. I appreciate when you guys start pointing things out that I'm not even aware of. I am begging you, my lord, please turn off that auto-dubbed function. I can't watch my lesson otherwise. The auto-translate AI voice can't be turned off in some mobile browsers. Eric, why is the video title translated to my local language for this video? Please stop this. This video played in auto-dub French for me, and I thought it was some next-level technique by Eric until I realized that the dubbing wasn't going to stop. Auto-dub AI, huh? Well, let's see what that's all about. Here's what happens automatically if you were to visit my channel from France.
Ouais, oh, salut les étudiants, bienvenue en classe. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes le 31.
I use NordVPN for that, by the way. This video is not sponsored by NordVPN, so don't put that in the sponsor block time code. I'm just saying, I use Nord for that. Here's Germany.
Oh, gut, ja, oh.
Hallo Studenten, willkommen zurück im Unterricht. Heute ist zufällig der 31.
Now, if you watch my show and you're already subscribed, that probably means you understand English, because that's the language my show is in. I don't want the stuff I say in this show to be translated poorly into an AI voice that's then played over me. Mostly because it's pissing off all my students. Please deactivate auto dub in YouTube Studio. Oh, look at that, now they're getting mad at me for something that's totally YouTube's fault. Well, I know how to handle that.
Bitte deaktiviere deine verdammte Einstellung. Ich spreche jede Roboterstimme, die ich will. Ich finde diese Änderung krass, weil ich mir diese Show immer auf Koreanisch vorgestellt habe, aber ich wollte die Sprache nie lernen. Jetzt kann ich alles auf Koreanisch machen. Koreaner sind das beste Publikum überhaupt. Viel besser als ihr amerikanischen Schweine. Niemand hat ein besseres Leben als koreanische Promis. Also bitte, Koreaner, schaut meine Show und liebt mich in euren Träumen. Scheiße, Moment mal, spreche ich gerade Deutsch? Ach, scheiße, hey, kann das bitte jemand ins Koreanische übersetzen und ihm schicken? Mal sehen, was es mit der Roboterstimme macht, wenn ich so bin.
Unfucking! Well, sorry to all my foreign exchange students, but it looks like stupid-ass YouTube is making stupid decisions for you all over again. I hope they turn off this auto-dub AI feature soon. Oh, what's this? Oh, I can disable that. All right. Well, never mind, that's my bad. Yeah, let me go ahead and disable that. Okay, so that won't happen anymore on my channel. That one's been solved. Maybe YouTube's okay after all. Oh, what do we have here? A little email from YouTube. Hi, Internet Comment Etiquette with Eric. It looks like Internet Comment Etiquette Russians dangling from buildings didn't follow community guidelines. To help keep our community safe, we removed it from YouTube. Removed? Oh, surely that's a mistake. Harmful or dangerous content policy at 1 minute 2 seconds. Content that promotes harmful or dangerous activities that risk serious physical harm or death isn't allowed on YouTube. And here's the part that got me dinged, which I'm gonna blur out because I don't want to get dinged twice. I'm suicidal but cannot watch this. All right, I think I know what happened here. Let me just check to see if that video I'm showing is still on YouTube. Nope, it got removed. And then YouTube's AI moderation must have seen that I have clips of that removed content in my video, so my video got removed. But it's all good. I mean, YouTube's got a great support team, so we're gonna get this figured out. All I gotta do is submit an appeal, and bop. Now someone at YouTube just has to watch my video and confirm that I'm not violating any... No, I already got a response. That was fast. We reviewed Internet Comment Etiquette Russians dangling from buildings again and confirmed it's not allowed under our harmful and dangerous policy. We understand this may be frustrating, but we're committed to keeping YouTube a safe place for everyone. Oh yeah, you reviewed it in 2 seconds? No, come on. Surely there's a way to get a human being involved here. Hi there, I hope all is well with you. Here, stepping in. I can definitely appreciate how much you want to restore that video to your channel. Don't worry, I'm here to help you figure this out. I have passed your request along to the appropriate team for further evaluation. There we go. See, I told you guys YouTube was okay. Now we just gotta wait for... Wow, really? Our internal team has carefully reviewed the video and found that it's in violation of our community guidelines. We removed the video because it contains dangerous acts that pose an imminent risk of physical injury or death. I don't think my video was doing any of those things, so I'm a little miffed right now. We make limited exceptions for content with educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic context. Yeah, that last one was what I was doing. Okay, well this sucks. This video from 2016 is now gone, and my channel's got a goddamn warning on it. And here's the only way to get rid of it. Take a policy training. To have your warning expire in 90 days, you have the option to take a quick 7-question training. Great. No, this is great. Yeah, no, this is a great use of my time. Thanks. 1. A viral challenge on social media shows people lighting their hair on fire. Angie posts a copy of the video with the title, "Oh wow,